hesitation. Got me going crazy. Keep it moving. I'm tuned in to True North Racing. The podcast that you need if you got the need for speed. John Morrison interviewing guests in the industry. Hey, short track, stock car racing. Gotta get it hype. Saturday night under the lights. Hear the engine rooming by. Smell the gas and feel the vibe. Going into overdrive. Drop the flag, then the car zooming by. Hey, True North Racing. Let's go.
Welcome back to a new week of the True North Racing Podcast. I'm your host, John Morrison. Joining me, as always, is Megan Mitchell, and joining us again for a while here. It's been a minute. I'm sorry, but we have Kaitlyn Wallace, driver the number 45 mini stock, joining us tonight. How's your weekend, guys? Don't all fight to talk at once here.
Megan, you go first.
Okay. It was all right. I really didn't do anything today. I just slept all day. And then yesterday, well, we had what was supposed to be John's surprise party thing.
Sorry.
But, I mean, I didn't help anything when I didn't turn off my Snapchat location and John could see exactly where I was.
Hold on, I only knew you were in Oakville, so like, that's all I knew.
I thought about it after. I'm like, oh, I could have said that we were just going shopping again. Because it wasn't until I pulled into Brampton that I was like, oh no. I better turn on ghost mode.
All right. So before we make this sound really weird, we're gonna give a little backstory here. So yesterday I got kicked.
You wanted to tell?
All right. So my 30th birthday is coming up. I'm sure you guys will all figure this out sometime this week. Well, so Jacklyn kicked me out of the house. I went up to Orangeville and saw some family friends, and I kind of knew something was off. It's hard to put anything by me as far as I'm concerned. My aunt likes to beg to differ, so we'll see what happens the next go round. So we were sitting at Boston Pizza up in Orangeville, and I just accidentally hit the map icon and was like, oh, Jacklyn should be on her way to work, so if she's on Snapchat or whatever, like, I'll just quickly see where she's at. She hadn't been on in a while. I sent a video from the restaurant to see if she would open it, because she said she was on her way to work. So I was trying to reverse this, right? And all of a sudden, I'm like, as I scrolled out to try to find her, I'm like, Oakville. I'm like, looked at the icon. I'm like, huh, Megan was just in Oakville 4 minutes ago. So I'm like, I'm like, I think I know where she's going. And then, yeah, so then that's where Megan, as soon as you got into Brampton, turned it off. So I was at Lynbrook Golf Center up in Orangeville, and we were playing around, and I was like, okay, like, Jacklyn should be at work. She'll have opened the video, never opened the video, opened it up to see if she had not been on Snapchat. But guess who in ghost mode? Megan.
Does it show when I'm in ghost mode? Or does my person just not show on?
No, it doesn't show up.
Oh, okay.
So if you leave if you leave it on, everyone can kind of see where you're at. But once you turn it off, if you essentially you couldn't go on it. If you wanted to keep the icon where it was, don't open Snapchat, or else they'll update where you are. There's your tip of the day.
I don't know.
Essentially, if you want to hide something, just don't go on. If your location's on, just stay it on. Just do not go on Snapchat. If you're trying to plan something, go on to another form of social media, or text them or something.
No.
There's your guys' little tip of the day. Oh man, but anyway, so Megan, you're continue talking about yesterday there, because I didn't mean to cut you off there.
That's okay. That's really all I did this weekend. That's fun because we get to meet your boys for the first time ever. They're funny. They're so cute. We had a good balloon fight with them.
Trying to get my ass when I came home too.
Yup. So I could see you over the gate, and then all of a sudden you disappeared, and I'm like, that mother effer just went in the front door, didn't he?
That's where Jacklyn told me to go. But anyways, Kaitlyn, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. Did a whole lot of running around today, errands and stuff with Dale. Yesterday I had racing, so I couldn't make it to the surprise party. It was the 50 lapper invitational for mini stocks at Flamborough, and it was classified as a non-points night. So we put in our new engine just to break it in, because it wasn't going to matter if I didn't do the race or not. And the engine was holding up just fine, so I qualified for the race. I did about 46 laps before I had to pull into the infield with a vibration in my front end, confused. When the race was over, I got out of my car and I was baffled because I had no idea, like at least on the left side, I didn't know what was wrong. And I walked around my car and my right front tire was the size of the wheel well. It was massive. Like it was probably very close to being exploded if I didn't pull off when I did. So that was scary. But I had so many people. It was like a museum artifact. Like someone saw it and then they told the whole pits and everyone was coming down to see it.
Jesus. That's just crazy right there. Now I'm definitely gonna have to go back through. I'm gonna have to go back to G-Force and check it out the video. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, do it. Watch the video. It just like randomly hit coming out of 2. Yeah, Grisdale was there because it was the APC race and they caught wind about the tire and they're like, give us the tire, we'll dismount it and we'll take it to the shop after racing, and then they're gonna give us a new tire for it because that tire only had one race on it before yesterday.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe those tires can't handle a 50 lap race.
I don't know. Maybe they're just like rushing productions because they're so like understocked or whatever. But yeah, it was weird. I'd never seen a tire do that before. Dale said that the exact same thing. It was like so narrow because it was so tall as a tire.
So I've never even heard of a tire doing that. Like I'm wondering if it is like defective because they have been low on stock and they're probably trying to rush them all through just to get tires out there. Like,
yeah,
that's weird.
Yeah, it would make sense for it being that, but it was really great of Grisdale's to offer to do that.
Absolutely, because that's like I kind of want to like stop right now and just like turn my TV and put it on just to catch that point. like we got an action-packed show tonight, so like I kind of don't want to. Because especially when we get our guest in here in a few minutes, he's a character in itself. So if you guys know who it is, it's Brandon Feeney, which we're gonna have a cool little intro I pulled off of YouTube that we're gonna use for him before he gets in here. So I'm excited for that.
It sounded like you were saying a cute little intro. I'm like, no. Then you said cool. No,
nothing
cute.
happens around here that's cute, okay? Like, look at this.
Speak
nothing happens. Huh?
I said, speak for yourself.
Here, meaning me. For anyone listening, I'm talking about myself. Oh boy. But anyways, I don't even know where the hell to go from here. We have an action-packed show when the guest comes on, but as always in the intro, we never know what the hell's going to happen, what we're going to bring up, because this weekend was rare for me. I didn't actually go to a racetrack, you know, like, as I was saying, we had a little surprise party last night for me, and it was really nice having everyone over. Man, it was funny as hell having y'all trying to pelt me with water balloons, and you know, I feel bad for my Aunt Betty. She was a casualty of one.
Oh,
So as we were so as I got out, Jacklyn moved. So she gave me a sign that says, "How old am I?" And I said 30. And it says 30. How tall am I? Tall. My favorite things: pizza, wings, and racing. And next thing I know, I think Cody launches the first one.
yeah.
Cody launches the first water balloon. I try to catch it, and I realized, like, oh, that was a water balloon. That wasn't like a ball or something. Because I didn't clue in until, like, I was trying to grab it as if it was a ball. And next thing I know, y'all were just trying to pelt me as much as you could with the water balloons, and accidentally he used the sign and popped it over. And then the funny part is actually, when you think about it, was like the fact that I ended up having a barbecue.
You know what? I can vouch for Jacklyn. She said she would do it.
I know she did. She did say she would do it, but her first mistake was the fact that she offered me to smoke the hot dogs. She's like, "Hey, do you want to smoke the hot dogs?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah, Garrison talked about that all the way home, by the way.
Did he really? Were they that good?
Yeah. Like he was mad impressed.
Wait till like I said, I want to have like a host, like a day when like all of us are free, and have us all over for a freaking barbecue, and I'll smoke up some meat. And you know, we'll have everyone else bring some fixings and whatnot, and we'll just have a party at my house.
I'd be down.
We're off September 17th.
You're one off when?
September 17th. There's no car racing at Flamborough.
Yeah, I've seen that. I gotta find out, because Robert's birthday is that during that week. Is my oldest son's birthday during the week, so we might be doing something that weekend for him. Yeah, we might be going to. We're thinking of 3 things: the Blue Jay game, Ontario Science Center, or there's something else too. But I think the Science Center is what we're gonna go do, because that's because, one, they have a flight simulator.
Oh man.
Oh, guess who's gonna get in a flight simulator? This guy. If I fit. I don't know what kind of cockpit situation they got going on there. So, but if they got an adult one, you can bet this guy's going in one. Honestly, it felt weird not being at the track though. Like, I love going to the track, so like it felt weird not being there. And you know, with everything, I'm frustrated right now, because the next 5 weeks we have the CVMs. Like, next off weekend we have is August 27th.
Oh.
5 weeks in a row with these kind of cars are very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one big wreck could take out two, 3 cars at a time, and they could be gone for 2-3 weeks. And we're already struggling for car count, and I want to see the count get back up. So hopefully, 1, we see more cars this week, and 2, hopefully, you know, we don't have any major wrecks throughout the week where we're losing guys a lot of the time. You know, that's gonna be the tough part. I know Kaitlyn right now is in the midst of like a freaking 20-week on schedule. It seems like. Off what, June 4th, was it?
Yep.
Yeah, June. Yeah, I think it was June 4th, and you're not off until September 17th.
Correct.
So that's what, 5? Holy crap! I can't. That's almost like 15 weeks. I think I want to say.
Yeah, and the car's been wrecked a few times, and we only ever get 4 days to spend every night in the shop. Poor Dale and my dad working their butts off all the time. like Dale works a full day at work and then has to drive home and just spends the rest of his night in the shop and between engines and people wrecking and
Jesus.
A lot.
Actually, we're gonna spotlight something here real quick because it was a cool video we saw that got shared on Tuesday. Someone got behind the wheel for the first time in quite a long time, eh?
Oh,
Oh, gee.
I thought you were.
Megan,
did.
come on.
He did. I literally sat there and I'm like, wait, what?
I was waiting for the light bulb to click off there.
Did you see it when it finally clicked?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Your
No, he
face
did.
dropped.
He did though. He's really hyped because now the car's officially got his name on it and it's ready to go. It's coming out, and I don't know if I'm allowed to publicly say,
No,
but it's coming out.
Just leave it. Just say it's
yeah.
coming out soon.
It's coming out soon, and he's gonna start tail for a while because it's been a long time, and the car is very like we still don't know what tire pressures to run because you can't do much with the pure stock. So we're trying to figure out what tire pressures.
Yeah.
So that video I posted, he's like spinning, which apparently my mom finds it funny when he does it, but it's not funny when I do it. Hey, there's my favorite washed up mini stock driver. Yeah, took it out for practice, and I mean between the tire pressures and the back end of that car is so light compared to our Sunfire that he said you put it in the corner and it just slides up the track and spins. So it's like, well, we're trying to figure that out. He's just gonna start tail and stay out of the way of everybody and just be happy to be back on the track. But I'll admit I'm nervous. I've been having anxiety since I found out that we're going back soon. So we will see. We will see how it goes.
You know what? It's good. It's like I said, if I can, I would love to get a GoPro inside your dad's car just to just for some fun.
Mm-hmm. Actually, we just bought a new one. We have 3 now. So I think the plan is to have one front facing, one rear facing, and one in the driver's like cockpit area.
Yeah.
That way you catch everything that's going on. So it'll be good to have.
You know what? That would be mint.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I think I think Scott, I don't know if he had all 3, but it's like I always like the drivers that had front and rear.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. I like the idea of having it in facing so you can see the driver because I find it interesting to see what they're doing with their hands and their feet. And then you get Brandon Feeney and he gives you a whole, what I thought he was going to do the YMCA or something, but
there's some unreleased footage that I just sent him over tonight.
See, he said that there was more. I'm like, well,
there's more.
I need to see this.
I haven't even begun to scratch the surface, apparently.
Oh boy.
That guy is an absolute hoot, and I feel like we may have to put a new rating on this for tonight just because of him. Oh boy. But he yeah, like I said, we're gonna bring him on here in just a little bit. There's no CVM rundown this week because we've been off for 2 weeks in a row now, which, by the way, actually one thing I am going to say, we are back this week with the Young Drivers Canadian Modifieds at Peterborough Speedway. And this week have a nightly sponsor, and is Wow One Day Painting. They've come on board to be the nightly sponsor this week for the club. So thank you to Jay Pepin. We have a video I've been working my ass off on trying to put together and make it look stunning. And it's been an absolute bitch for me to get to it. But I'm hoping to have that out either if I do everything for this tonight, then it will be tomorrow night I do it, or if I jump to that tonight, it'll be a up tomorrow. So we'll see what gets done first and where I feel like working when I am done the show. Because I usually like to take a little break after we're done, because we're on here for about 2.5 hours, sometimes 3, depending on who's coming on. So but yeah, over on so we're gonna do the JoMo Media rundown here. I'm hoping I got a lot of these correct. I really do, because you never know what's going on with Race Monitor. So I got David Rockwood in the Super Stocks down at Delaware Speedway, finishing 16th. We have the Lawrence brothers of Chris and Joe going 1 and 2, with Joe taking the victory. Phil Givens came 4th. Matt Langford 18. Cassie Howard in the finished 27th. I don't have Alex's up yet. But Kaitlyn, you were scored 11th. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Roland Goodfellow, I thought he was at Flamer, but I don't know if he was. He might have been off to Grand Bend, I think, on the weekend. Our pro late model driver, Ty Cavalin, had a clean sweep up at the beach on the weekend, which is awesome. I love seeing that. He got at the swept the heats, took the feature. Brandon Feeney, don't know where he finished, but he DNF'd because he broke a transmission. Ryan Houston finished 3rd, and Dave Johnson, not too sure, because I never know when Southern Ontario Motor Speedway is going to have their transponder system working. Oh, would you look at that? They actually had it up. Last week I was searching around for it. I had to reach out to them to actually be like, hey, where did Dave finish? Because they didn't have it up for the Friday. They raced last Friday. They didn't have it up. And the only reason I knew where Ryan finished was because Ryan tagged me, and because he gave me a shout out in Victor. Sorry, didn't give me, but gave a shout out to JoMo Media and Victor Lane. And that was the only thing I knew. But it says here Dave Johnson was scored 12th. So hopefully those are correct. Alex, if you're listening, buddy, I'm sorry. Don't know where you were rolling. Same thing with you.
I think Alex had it on Facebook today.
He did. I
Let me look.
Even Madison finished 12th. I remember that. And Nick got home, came home 3rd last night in the fan appreciation up at Sunset, which, by the way, what better pairing if you have the property than to have Rib Fest and fan appreciation night?
Oh, that'd be good.
That is just the best combination you think you can absolutely do.
Racing,
in my opinion. Ribs and racing. Come on. Like, what? I would pay to go early to go get ribs. Like, I would absolutely go get ribs, and I would be walking into the pits with barbecue sauce all over my face and just be like, yes, like racing now. Like,
Just
like
hyped.
there's a new rib touring thing that they can do. They have like the Northern Heat series. Get the Ribs and Racing series going. If the track has property to be able to host it, do it. That's an event. Whoever has a lot more money than I do needs to jump on this idea. Like Sunset showed us that we can do this. We need to do a Ribs and Racing series.
That'd be sick.
Oh boy. But yeah. But the one cool thing though last night was the fact that Sarah got back out again in the 0. Oh my god, I messed up the number on Friday when I was doing the post. I keep forgetting she's 04, and for some reason I put 03. So Sarah, if you're listening, I'm sorry. I was doing that like last minute too. Sometimes like I get so busy and I'm like, I need to get shit done, but it is what it is. But it's, I don't know, but yeah. Oh boy, I'm already losing it. It's already been a long day for me. I've been up since 7:30. I didn't go to bed till almost 1 o'clock, I think, last night.
Holy.
Oh yeah, and we still ordered pizza after y'all left. It was like 10 o'clock at night. We had Jacklyn's mom and dad went out and picked up some Papa John's pizza, and just I think that's a terrible part of being where I am in Brampton.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I go 5 minutes this way, I hit a Domino's. If I go 5 minutes this way, I hit a Papa John's. If I go 5 minutes over here, I hit a freaking pizza. Oh boy. And if I go like 5 minutes, another 2 minutes down the road, I hit KFC, I hit McDonald's, I hit
Cuba doesn't have anything like that.
oh boy. I miss country. I miss the country living. Because I'm not 5 minutes to this crap.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Megan just reminded me here. Kaitlyn. Wait, which is this one? Next time I see you, I need you to sign this.
Oh yeah.
Did you listen to the podcast last week?
No, I didn't have a chance.
Oh, Kaitlyn.
I know.
That just broke my heart.
I'm sorry. I still love you, John.
Oh, I don't know how that's half-hearted. I feel like. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Wow.
I love you too, Kaitlyn. We got all the drivers who were at the market last week. We got them to sign it.
Okay.
But so we're gonna try and get as many of the JoMo Media drivers as possible to sign the cup. And then at the end of the year, we're gonna do a giant giveaway. And I'm talking like I want to ask all the drivers to donate something, and then we're gonna put prize packages together for first, second, and third. And we're just gonna do a huge giveaway at the end of the season. And this is gonna be in the top prize bracket.
I want to win one. I want that. I can always just go around and get everyone to just sign something on my own. It's easy enough.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe we'll have Wallace Racing apparel by then.
Come on, get it up. I still need a sticker for my car.
We have those.
Huh?
We have those.
Well, next time you're at the track, or obviously this weekend when you're at the track, freaking I'll have to come by and pick one up, because I have MRC on my car.
No, I'm heartbroken.
Well, Megan sent me keychains last year, and they included 2 stickers, so I gave one to Jacklyn and one for me.
Well, we always talk about doing the Wallace Racing apparel, but we keep having to spend so much money on the car that it's not much budget for apparel at the moment.
So if anyone is wants to help out Kaitlyn with some sponsorship to help get her some apparel, like hit her up at Wallace Racing on Facebook and Instagram. See?
Thanks.
I'm trying to work. I'm already trying to work some angles to get us Dr. Pepper sponsorship. Okay. Are you kidding me?
Start drinking it.
Huh?
I said, I guess I should start drinking it.
I got a cup of Dr. Pepper cherry here. I have a Dr. Pepper hat right there. And then someone who's in the chat here gave me a 12-pack last night. Megan gave me a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper. And then someone else, one of Jacklyn's friends, also gave me a 12-pack of Dr. Pepper.
My dad was so precise with that, by the way. Like, my mom grabbed one case off the shelf, and my dad's like, nah, this box looks beaten up. He went back, and he's trying to find the perfectly shaped case of Dr. Pepper.
I love your dad.
He put his heart and soul into it.
Oh my God. I appreciate it so much. I didn't even open up the container, like the thing all the way. I saw the Dr. Pepper. I'm like, that's it. I'm happy, man. You know what that is. But there's ever one person who's going to trick me, that's going to be my cousin Sarah. So I'm going to run this story by real quick, because this is hysterical. So I think it was 2011 or 2012 for Christmas. I had just got myself a computer, keyboard and mouse box. Obviously I got the keyboard and the mouse out of the box, but in the box I stuffed in Team Canada hockey jersey, and I wrapped it up. It still looked flat, didn't look bulged out, nothing. here, Sarah, here's your Christmas present from me. She opens it up. She's like, oh, thanks, keyboard and mouse. Thanks, John. I'm like, no, open the box. She opens the box and she pulls out. She's like, oh my God. Just starts freaking out. So ever since then, she's been trying to, she hasn't found the perfect thing yet, but she always said that she might try to figure out how to get me back for that. So there's not a whole lot anyone can put by me nowadays, in my opinion.
See, and I'm on the opposite end of that. You can put anything past me. I'm pretty gullible. Like,
on Saturday, Dale tried to convince me that there is a rat in the shop, and I believed it.
Oh boy.
I didn't see it, but I believed it.
I swear, you just tell me one thing, and yeah, I'm just like, oh, okay.
Cool.
I'm not gonna doubt you.
He wasn't gonna tell me otherwise until I told my mom about it. And he's like, no, there's no rat. I was like, what?
No.
He's like, no,
you'll
we
be
can't
fine.
bring Denise into this. Hold on.
Oh boy. Well, at least we know if there's going to be a surprise party or anything like that, I can easily just. And I think that's the issue though too, because I have such a dry sense of humor. I can pass a lot of things off as if it's true, right? So, I feel bad for you guys if I try to plan something. Actually,
it's pretty easy. It'll be all good.
What? What's the funny part is every time I say I'm like, oh, we got something cool announcing, Megan, he goes like, what is it? As if we just didn't talk about it after we finished recording the night before.
Like, I don't know. Maybe it's something different.
Don't worry. Jacklyn's in the same boat. She goes, what's the big announcement? I was like, the market? She's like, oh, I wasn't sure there's something else. I'm like, oh, good Lord.
Like, I'm so gullible. You can tell me that I've been spelling my name wrong my whole life, and I'd go back and find my birth certificate. Like, am I? Did I actually? It's not hard. It's really not.
Actually, there's some stuff we gotta talk about because there's some I want to plan for the end of August if you guys are interested, but we'll talk about that after. It's okay. Something pretty cool. I know we could always just go on and just talk like I said, at the end of the year we're gonna have just like a BS episode, and we're just gonna talk for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just whatever comes up is whatever comes up.
Airplane kitty?
You might
airplane kitty?
I just please don't let ever airplane kitty come back.
You guys call me for airplane chat?
No one called you, Dale.
That was so quick.
He was listening. He's paying attention.
That was really quick.
So,
hey, John, unlike Kaitlyn, I actually listened to the podcast.
Oh, shots fired.
Gotcha.
But I think we're gonna get.
Wow.
I think we're gonna get our guest Brandon into the chat here. So let's welcome Brandon.
Feeney! Ooh, that was a new one.
Okay, everyone, we are back now with Brandon Feeney, driver of the number 38 Liquid Molly Super stock. Brandon, how are you?
Not bad. How about you?
Not too bad. How was your race weekend?
This weekend wasn't good. I got one heat in and spun to avoid driving over somebody and broke the transmission in my car.
Ouch. Wasn't never fun.
No, it's expensive, but we'll be back out there.
Mm-hmm.
John just mad he wasn't in that cheers like off camera. He didn't realize that was what it was.
Oh boy. We're already gonna get off the rocks here, eh?
You have ice in your drink? You're cheating on us, not going all natural?
I got Fireball in here, buddy.
So you have ice in there too.
Yeah, I do have ice. Actually, I did. It took so long and melted.
That's why you have to get a tumbler. I know you know the guy that makes them for like JoMo Media.
And it's like it's in here.
Even mine's out of the box.
This is the last one we have for sale.
So you didn't keep one for yourself?
I do have one for myself. It's just downstairs right now.
Well, that was poor planning.
Yeah, just a little bit, but I do have this Blue Jay one.
Hey, shameless merch link.
Yeah.
Hey, just buy. You can buy this last tumbler I have for sale here.
Meanwhile, it's in the box.
I swear it's in the box. I've never drank Fireball out of it.
No, no, it was this one.
That would
Oh,
look
boy.
good with a beefy motorsports koozie on the outside of that. Just saying.
Hey, you didn't bring any.
I did bring in some. Just I showed up late.
Yeah, exactly.
I had like you guys are like you guys have so many hero cards. I'm like, oh, I won't go grab the rest of the box or the koozies. I had like 6 bags of koozies there. I'm like,
Oh, could have brought him out.
and I did. I gave one to Megan.
Yeah, one to Megan, but
You got one at Motorama, didn't you?
no.
Oh, I thought what I gave you at Motorama.
You gave me yeah, you gave me the hat and a sticker. Because the hat was crooked and so was the sticker on my toolbox.
I swore I gave you. Why didn't you bring it up then?
I forgot.
You gotta do it now publicly.
You see me 2 days in a row. Be like, never be like, hey, can I get one of those koozies?
I don't like asking for stuff.
It's just trade off. I get something of yours for something of mine. That's how it works.
Easy there, Tiger. So calm down.
For $19.99, you can see that conversation.
So anyways, man, so we're gonna start off at the beginning here. How did you get started in racing? What was your first involvement in racing?
So my first involvement in racing was probably when I was 3 or 4 years old. A guy by the name of Rudy Oprisma was running super late models at Mossport and stuff like that. Good friend of the family. My dad was helping him out, and all of a sudden we're bleeding the brakes, and he goes, well, we need to be working outside the car. So they stuffed me in the car under the steering column to bleed the brake. So that's where the addiction started anyway.
And when were you first introduced to behind the wheel action?
So I bought a car in 2014. I actually rode off a car on the road and got some insurance money and decided, hey, if I buy a $500 truck, I can buy a $1,500 race car, which seems like an awesome trade-off, does it not? And
I mean, that's the way my mind works. So
I bought a Sunfire. That's my only time seeing the car before like buying it was at Peterborough Speedway going out turn 1 through the field. I'm like, well, if that thing came back from that, they could take me driving it. So I bought it like I think it was 3 days before opening night, and went up to the first practice on the Thursday and didn't die, and decided to go on the Saturday, and been racing ever since. I don't think I've missed a weekend since the first weekend of 2014.
Oh wow. So this would be your 8th season, 9th season? 8th season, because 2014, so 2024 will be your 10th.
Yeah.
So yeah, 8th year. Wow.
I've driven a lot of cars in 8 years.
I was gonna say you've always been the kind of guy I've been following. I think I've been following Beefy Motorsports either on Instagram or Facebook for a while now. I don't know how long, but I always seen the because you already have the models behind you. I've seen the blue card that's over your left shoulder with the orange, and I've also seen the other one on the legend card. I'm thinking like, oh, this guy's been around a bit. I would have figured you would have been around a lot longer than 8 years.
Yeah, a lot of people think that, but these are actually just ideas that we threw around. So this is my Mud Boss RC car that I raced through the winter because I have to keep the itch going. And this is what we call the big block late model, which is basically a dirt late model body with a short course truck body. We're doing like oval laps inside a building for like 3-4 seconds.
Jesus.
It gets expensive when you hit a wall.
Just like real life racing, right?
No, I think it's more expensive to have the RC cars.
Really?
This car here, if I actually push it to try to keep up with like JBJ and stuff like that, I'll burn a set of right sides off in a night on carpet.
Wow,
Holy.
So these are
that's
actually
just crazy.
this one here is actually wrapped by the same guys that did my new car.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah. So they've been working for me for a while, so they like me right now.
When so 2014 was your first race. You haven't missed a night since. Tell us what that first race was like.
Well, you go into your first race, you're always a little bit nervous, obviously, right? So the first time there's a video on YouTube on, I believe it's Connor Parks channel or Parks Racing channel, where all the rookies somehow got in the same heat race. There was like 7 of us going in for the phone stocks as rookies. They're like, hey, we're just gonna give you your own heat race. So they're out front in the Mazda 323, and I'm working my way through the pack because, you know, it's not easy. It's a natural thing to do. You just start driving, wiggling through as you think. And then I dove bomb a guy for my first ever racing pass from 7 car lengths back to make the pass. He gave me the room to make it stick. And then like after that, it's like, wow, this is gonna be all right. Like this car is good. To get to the feature and go like 3 laps down and to the experienced guys, like, okay, that was a rude awakening.
You go from your highest to highs right there for making your first competitive pass from 7 car lengths deep to being lapped in your first feature. Like that's
Oh, it wasn't even like being lapped like halfway. No, I think it was like 5 laps. I mean, like a lap down to Ryan Easterholt. He asked me, and I'm like, you know, what was he driving?
now this is giving me Ricky Bobby vibes.
Are those little cars?
I was actually thinking the 7-Up commercial from back in the day. Remember where he's driving and goes, some guys just have to show off, and they're like all tumbling down the straightaway.
Oh boy. So yeah, so your first race, you went, but you at least finished all your laps, right?
Yeah, I finished all my laps up until probably about this weekend of the year, because I get a lot of memories on my phone through Facebook, where I got sent up the Pepsi sign at the track, which I drove. If you ever find the pictures, Jack Hanna has a really good picture, which he's down doing the Lemons Rally right now. So I actually drove up the Pepsi sign, took a chunk of the Pepsi sign. I was equal with the Pepsi logo, landed it, came down, got all 4 tires changed, went to go back out, and they're like, no, you have to be checked out by EMS before you go back out. I'm like, but I'm going to lose a lap.
Holy.
But that's what priorities are in your first year. You're like I came from demolition derbies. Like going airborne was no big deal at that point, right? So
Absolutely. I keep saying I've always wanted to do so back in the day, back in like 2002, they used to do rollover derbies at the Paris Fairgrounds over in
the
Paris,
rollover
Ontario.
comps.
Oh, dude, I looked at them like that's what I want to do.
That would hurt a lot.
And I'm sure my mom probably looked at me and was like, "What is wrong with you?"
So
Like I swear. Go ahead.
So the first when I do that and I go up the Pepsi sign, that's the first time my mom ever came to the racetrack.
Oh,
And I go over there. I'm like, that was fun. I'm going to do that again. I almost didn't make it back.
The first time your mom ever shows up and you go up and down that Pepsi sign.
If you land it and drive it back to the pits, that's a save, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I didn't
wreck,
spin out.
technically.
No, technically I went up, landed back down the same lane I left in.
Yeah. There's a little liquid molly spot.
Yeah.
I've
I've learned to have a drink handy because like I've started talking to people and like, you know, doing more of the, you know, media side of things lately, because I haven't realized how much it actually matters to racing. Like when I first started, there was no social media that you had to worry about. There was no podcasts like yourselves or others in like Canada and stuff like that. So you didn't have to worry about that. You just put a name on your car and drove fast.
Mhm.
But nowadays most sponsors don't even care about being on the car. They want all the social media attention. So I'm learning how to talk again and not, you know, lose my voice halfway through.
You know what? I completely agree with you because, like, you know, 10 years ago, guys that I was working with, you know, well, 10 years ago, I'm thinking that's 2014 here, Jesus, or 2012 here. You know, like that was the case, right? Like you saw lots and lots of more websites for the drivers. They had their own racing websites where they could promote their sponsors, their teams. You're right. We didn't have the outlets we do now, where guys like myself, Cam, Inside Track. Well, Inside Track's been around since '97, but we have all these other outlets where it's helping trying to bring eyes to the sport, especially in a specific area, right? And for you guys, you're having to relearn stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that you have to kind of relearn all the vitals and stuff like that too, right? Because like you have guys that still like there's I think it's like Mark Gordon, Howie Crow, and stuff like that at Peterborough, who I introduced to you last week, that they don't have even Facebook. So like it's one of those things that like they run a lot out of their pocket and stuff like that because they don't have any of that. But that's what sponsors want nowadays, is they want all that social media time.
They want their names tagged in weekly posts, letting them know how their race was. We talked a lot about that with Gary Elliott too a while ago. He to this day, he since that podcast, he has been emailing me his race reports from each week, and I'm like, this is exactly what people want to see, because then it feels like their sponsors are getting the attention they deserve, right? It's not just money thrown at you to go race in a circle for every Saturday night and hoping that people will use the product. It's about exposing more about yourself and what you can do for them. Essentially, is you're under their payroll. That's what they're trying to do, essentially.
Yeah, it's one of those things too. Like, so like I was saying, it's a weird situation that you're kind of in, because they want to see the results, they want to see the pictures of the car, and like you go out and you do things. Like I've done charity events with my cars and stuff like that for years. So even back when I did derbies, I did a lot of charity events for the Make-A-Wish Foundation and stuff like that, where I had at my local fair, we raised money for Make-A-Wish by having kids sign the car and stuff like that. I had more sponsors for that kind of thing because of just the amount of exposure than I would for like one that I knew I was basically going to win.
Yeah. It's crazy, right?
Like you can see some really, really good drivers driving around with almost bare cars because they don't have the social media coverage. So it's like they need that little bit of a deep pocketbook, and they're like, "Oh, I don't have sponsors." I'm like, you have to do 2 jobs now for the same amount of money.
Yeah. Racing now has gone from, back when I first started, unless there was severe damage one week, it was literally one night in the shop. They would meet up about 5, 6 o'clock, and they would head out about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And we wouldn't show up back up till Saturday. But that's not the case anymore. Guys like Brandon, like especially with super stocks, the way they've gone now, it's you're
It's
now
like
going out 2-3 nights a week just to make sure, go over the car, make sure you can find something.
Yeah, it's like almost 20 to 30 hours of maintenance, and that's just like your oil. You're doing oil changes almost every other week on these cars. You're changing the fluids, you're checking every nut and bolt, and you're tearing suspension parts down to make sure that nothing's binding up. You're making sure all the shocks are good, making sure spring didn't go bad. I'm kind of in a weird situation where I don't actually have a shop to work on my car, so I do most of it in the trailer. So like what I can get to, I get to, but it's one of those things that I take it into work once in a while and use the shop there.
But that helps you out a lot when you're able to bring your car into the shop, get it up on the hoist, and actually go through it, right?
Oh, it helps me out a bunch being able to bring it to work. The only thing is I got to make sure it drives out in the morning so I can do work I'm getting paid for in the morning. If I steal a hoist for a week, the boss is gonna be pissed.
I think anyone would be.
Well, yeah, to be fair, he's losing thousands of dollars at that point, right? So
Absolutely. But I obviously, you've been a man who's raced many of series and divisions and cars, and why don't you walk us through your racing career up to this point and what you've been behind the wheel of and what you've raced?
Okay, so you don't want just like the ones I've actually raced like competitively, or do you want everything I've driven?
Everything you've driven, man. I'd rather hear everything than you leave out some and be like, hey, no, he drove this too.
I'm sure I'm still going to forget at least one or two things because I do have memory issues, as we've already discussed off air. That's what happens when you do demolition derbies first, and you hit your head a bunch of times. So I started out with obviously derby cars and figure eight cars. That was a great way of relieving stress, and that's what my dad did when I was a young kid. So it was kind of like following your dad's footsteps. After a while, I got the O2 Sunfire that was a bone stock. I ran it in mini stock a couple times, got my butt whooped. Then I got a Prelude that I ran once, and it got DQ'd because the four-wheel steer was still activated. Then I traded an enduro car that I drove the enduro car on ice. It caught fire, finished in third on fire.
Hold up. Hold up. You caught fire on ice in an enduro car and still finished third?
It was warmer. So this was
You're
right
not
when they had the
wrong.
ice enduro, right?
Yeah.
So they freeze the track and they go out and do it. I think there was like 6, 7, 8 cars. And like in the big rule meeting, it's like no snow tires, no double tires. So I show up on all seasons. Well, everybody else but me showed up on snows. So like, oh, we're gonna let snows go. I'm like, no, that means I guaranteed the win. Like I
Yeah.
showed up by your rules. And then I had a coil pack let go, and it was just shooting raw fuel down to the catalytic converter, and eventually things fire when the catalytic converter is glowing very red. But
how many laps was the enduro? I gotta know.
I want to say 75 laps on ice.
Jesus.
And I had like Falcon Azena all season tires on. Like the car was meant to be into like a bone stock. I was going to run in the enduros back when Peterborough Speedway and all that had almost like a once or twice a month enduro series.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had points for enduro, so I was going to run the bone stock and then enduro at the same time. But it was just me and my buddy Fat Mike got the car and we started building it, and it's like, oh well, it catches fire. It's probably not a good omen for when we actually need to race this in the heat. So,
I mean, you're not wrong there.
so yeah. Anyway, so to go back onto the story,
Yeah.
I traded that for a Thunder car, which I never drove. Other than like I put on my motor and it drove it, and that got sold by Dan Price. I wasn't allowed to drive it. He bought it off me and then sold it like 3 days later. I think it's down in the States doing some sort of series now. Then I got a modified because I test drove Randy Hollingsworth modified with OMRS, and I still love modifieds. I still want to drive modifieds. They're my favorite series. One of my childhood idols drives those. John Baker Jr. Like,
Yeah.
When I first started racing, he was winning everything. He could show up in a soapbox derby and win. It didn't matter. It was if he was there, you were racing for second. That's how it was. It's like so back in 2014, you show up to Flamborough, Chenoweth was there. Chenoweth is winning. You're fighting for second, right? Like it's only recently that he's been more challenged for races and stuff like that, even too, right? So, but yeah. So after that, I finally got. What did I get after that? I got the bus from Howie Crow, which was my first car. Kind of as they were changing it over to super stock. So I bought that for like $1,500. Bought a motor off Mike Nelson. We dropped it. We were the only car still on an automatic transmission, rear drum brakes, and stock manifolds. And single master brakes at like cylinder, which if you tried to do that in a super stock now, they would just laugh at you.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so I drove that. It was doing good. We never put tires on it. I was running on everybody's used tires from previous years. So I think I got like 12 tires from Dan Price, 8 tires from JBJ, and I was just running on them. And then I finally got to race Dan Price that year, which is another one of my heroes because he is one of the hardest working men in motorsports. He can build anything. So if you remember Dan Price in his 57 Chevrolet in the Hot Rod series, the one that kind of started it all.
Yep.
That was all built by hand. That's not hardly any of it was like a 57. His fenders, he showed me how to make them on like an acetylene tank. I don't mean like you heat it up. I mean, he's pounding them on the acetylene tank to make, and like, that's just raw craftsmanship that, when you get into like doing this, you have to appreciate, because it's like, when you can do something like that with bare minimum tools, it's like, could you imagine what this guy could do for like a shop, like Pinty shop or something like that?
Mhm.
He would have some pretty cars.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, he's gone to dirt now, so I can't race him anymore. So after I drove the Thunder car, 2017 is where we're at now. That around that time, I was also doing the professional driving with some other Peterborough drivers for the Rusty Wallace experience, where I got some experience in some late models and some retired cup cars, like an old Gordon car and Stewart, like a COT car.
Yep.
Which, that was great to get paid like $20 an hour to go around and drive cars that, have liveries of a Jeff Gordon on it. Or I think I had one that was a DEI car from Daytona that got mangled. And it's like, so like to be in a DEI car, because like it's got all the DEI badging in it and stuff like that. It was wrapped as a Jeff Gordon car. I'm like, this is so much irony. It's not even like you're in an Earnhardt car with a Gordon livery. It's like, this is weird. Like the Twilight Zone. Could you imagine if like Earnhardt ever signed Jeff Gordon? Like if he didn't pass away, if he ever signed Jeff Gordon, the marketing deal they would have.
Ooh.
Especially with the way Earnhardt was.
Earnhardt is the whole reason like NASCAR marketing is where it is. Like he
100%.
So Earnhardt's actually the one that taught a lot of guys about trademarking their names and all that stuff. So it's like the whole reason that it is where it is. So anyway, before I get too sidetracked because I see a squirrel and keep following that. So we drove those, and then the next year we made a lot of upgrades to the car that turned out I didn't like. The car was just not working the way I wanted it to. So I wanted to make more upgrades by switching to a newer motor, manual transmission, so a 3-speed Saginaw, 9-inch rear end, because I still had the GM 7.5-inch rear end in it with 411 gears. This is also the car that if you talk to Charlie Tone at the track, that is the one I held in the motor with ratchet straps and zip ties to complete a race. And yes, I actually passed people during that race. I didn't just start and park it. I was mad and I was going around on the outside. So I then bought a late model I called Vengeance, because after having the bad first part of the year, you come back with a vengeance, right? So I bought it sight unseen from Paul Sr. up north. He delivered it down to Kawartha Speedway for me because we were watching, I think it was a Hot Rods. And he delivered it. We pushed it on my trailer. Me and Dan Price changed the seat belts and the clutch lines on the side of the road. I bought 4 tires and I raced it that night.
Jesus.
So they almost blacked, and I had no practice because by the time I got tires on, because the ones that came on it, they were weather cracked, which, you know what, I bought the car sight unseen. It sat for 10 years, something like that. And he told me that. I'm like, well, I'm just going to run it to see what the parts are like. If anything's good, bad, ugly, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by the time I did that, I was hooked about how fast that car went. I'm like, well, this car's way better. Like, so I was driving it the first night ever, and 2 guys crashed in front of me in the late model heats of like, I think 7 guys. I ended up getting like 2nd or 3rd in my first ever late model heat. I'm like, well, why don't I just run this car? Like, this is way better. But they almost black flagged me in that race because of I hit the accelerator for the first time down the back right away. It shot all the rust out of the pipes from sitting for 10 years. So it was just a big orange cloud. So like, is he on fire? What's going on here? But yeah, so that's another interesting story. We didn't even do a nut and bolt check on that car before I took it out. That's still, ignorance is bliss. I had new seatbelts in it. That matters, right?
Safest thing about the car at that point, if anything's going to go wrong.
Yeah. I actually raced the feature and lost brakes because brake fluid was old. Go figure.
Finished bad.
Finished the race though, and I think I finished 5th on the lead lap.
Jesus.
So well, when you can't slow down, you have to go fast.
That's true. That's true.
So the following year after that, I sold my super stock because I was like, all right, I'm just going to go late model racing. And I was working on making the late model better. And then I got Connor James's old late model from Sunset Speedway on a steal of a deal. It was basically the same price to buy that car as it was to upgrade my new one. So we painted that thing up to match so they look like twins, so nobody knew I upgraded my car. until I finally spilt the beans and basically told people I had a new car because I couldn't stop laughing. We're like, yo, your car is so much faster this year. I'm like, I know, right? I did so much work in the off season. No, I just went and bought another car. So I raced that. I did, I want to say 30 races in a year with that car.
Yeah.
My first time in a competitive late model. So I raced that Sunset Speedway from their opener until Peterborough opens. And then I'd run Sunset and Peterborough on every night from, I think it was April we started back then, until I finally broke the car in September. There was one pro late model start there too at Flamborough because I got called out on my BS because I posted a thing on Facebook about, well, we got rained out at Sunset and we were already halfway there. I'm like, hey, if somebody gives me a set of tires tonight, I will run pro late. Mike Westwood, being the guy he is, he goes, I have a set of tires for you. Get down here. So we go down there, put a set of tires on my rims, and no practice again because I was coming from Sunset to get down there. And I'm like, all right, well, they're going to give us a couple laps to warm up the tires in the late models. I'm like, that's good enough practice. It's like qualifying. I got two laps by J.R. Fitzpatrick. And I'm like, this may have been a bad idea. So we're sitting there running that car, and I finally kind of get the hang of Flamborough because I've never driven a late model around Flamborough ever.
Yeah.
At that point. So I'm like, all right, we're getting the hang of it. So I'm just following Gary Elliott of all people. I'm like, he has so much history here. I'm like, if I just don't wreck him, I'll be good. Like, and I'm realizing I'm sitting there trying to outbrake him. I brake him. I'm like, wait, these guys have 4-piston brakes. I have like GM single pot calipers. I am not outbraking anybody here. So I'm like, I can feel my brakes getting softer. I'm like, I'm just going to let them cool off. So we got a caution for rain on lap, I think it was a 30 lap feature on lap 27. I was on the lead lap, right side by side with Gary Elliott. So that's a huge, like Gary Elliott wasn't a hero at that point, but like, because I didn't understand his like history, but like the more I've got to know him since then, it's like, wow, I got to race with Gary Elliott before he left. Like, you know what I mean? Like was he in Nova Scotia now?
Yeah, he's in Nova Scotia.
Yeah. So like it's one of those things like some people growing, like they're coming to racing now, be like, oh, I wish I could have raced with, I wish I could have raced. And it's like, I got to, and like I got to race side by side, door to door, trading paint. And it's even cooler because it's kind of like a rivalry because it's Quaker State versus my Liquid Molly too, right? So it draws attention for good and bad reasons, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I broke that car at Sunset for the Velocity weekend. I broke it good. I broke clutch, trans, and rear end all in the same power up. So it was going to be parked for a while. I then bought a bone stock because people were running their mouth on Facebook about how bad of a driver I was, and they could outdrive me any of the week. So I bought the slowest car I could find. I mean, a car I knew could not even make the A main at Colors. It's failed to qualify every single time it's ever got it. I paid way too much for it, but I was paying money to prove a point. I was that petty. I spent $3,000 on a bone stock that was like I couldn't ever win a heat race or anything with, but to only pass one person, and I passed them on the outside at Flamborough 3 wide, and then I sold the car. So that was a bone stock. That was I think you were there for that one, Megan. That was the first year of COVID, and that was the first blue and yellow Honda Civic with the big Kapow numbers on the side.
I might have. I ran the end of 2019 for 3 nights. 2020 didn't run it all.
I think you were there at the track.
I might have
like we didn't know each other
been there. Yeah.
But anyway, so I sold that car to a friend after I was kind of done doing it. They got into racing, and I told him like, hey, listen, this is a car you get your start in, then you move up. Because sometimes you can't just jump in the best car because you don't know what to do with it. And this is kind of where I'm having an issue now. But so after that, I bought my first legend car, which was I bought a parts car that we couldn't find a brake pedal for to race at my first race. And I actually questioned if I needed it or not. Like I'm like, can I just put one in there from like, a regular car instead of a legend car brake pedal? And I'm glad I didn't, because I realized how much you need both those brake pedals sometimes in a legend car. So I drove that one. I hated that car. That car and me didn't get along. I lost the right front suspension twice. It just literally vibrated loose in the middle of a race. like with double nuts and washers and lock washers on it and lock nuts. I'm like, so I traded it back to the guy I bought it off of for another car he had there, which I called Candy last year. We did really well with that car for what it was. That was a run-of-the-mill 1250 car. It was heavy, especially with me in it. Like those cars aren't really built for, big guys like me to make weight. So I was running top 10 almost every time I got in that car. I was leading laps when I started up front. So I really like that car. I really want to run those cars, but after having the big accident at Flamborough last year, I just can't put my back just running those anymore. So then I sold everything I own, late model, legend car, the bone stock I had last year for colors, to buy the car I have now, which is back into the super stocks again. And there's a few cars I drove for people. Like I drove a mini stock last year and my old super stock for the same guy last year, to help fill in for when he was injured. So last year I actually drove, in one calendar year, I drove bone stocks, mini stocks, super stocks, trucks, legend cars, and late models, all at Peterborough Speedway. So it was a busy season. One night was 3 cars in one night, and it had to have been like 30 degrees in the first night. Bless you.
Thank you.
And it had to have been like 30 degrees that night. I think I got top 10. So my car had a fuel pickup issue, but I finished 8th with it, I think, in the late model. His car, we dropped 2 or 3 cylinders in a 50-lap race. He goes, just bring it back in the bag. If it runs, keep going. I'm like, all right. If it runs, keeps going. It sounded like a John Deere tractor on one cylinder going by after when we were done. But I finished 9th. I was still passing people because it cornered that well. I'm like, man, if I had horsepower, this thing would be like a beast. And I think I finished 11th in the super stock, and I broke the right rear shock and the right rear spring in it. So that's the weirdest thing about me. If I get a really good car, I can't drive it. If I have a car that's broken, that's falling apart, I will pass people like no tomorrow. I don't understand what's going on, but I can drive a broken car better than a good one.
I mean, that's usually the case with racers, though. You guys are a weird bunch. So I find a lot of you guys, if it's broke, you guys will.
But half the time it's because it's broke because they're mad. That's why they're going to drive better, right? Like I'm talking about, like
Right.
I didn't even know stuff was broke sometimes. So like autumn colors last year, I was driving my bone stock and I was driving my legend car. The bone stock went great. I started almost dead last, just like the first car that was automatically in the A without going to the B main, and drove it through the pack up to like 3rd. And I realized I had to go to tech and I had to get my legend car. So I'm like, hey, 6th place doesn't get tech, so drop back. To then jump in the legend car, which I was doing good. I was in, I think, 8th or 7th place. And all of a sudden there was a big pile up on a restart. I hit the guy so hard I destroyed his whole rear frame rails and stuff like that. What the crew didn't tell me is I broke off a radius rod, knocked the bumper behind the tire so I couldn't steer right. And I think there was something else broken that I found later when I had to order parts. And they're like, oh, you're done. I'm like, I drove it down here. I'm not done. I'm like, tape whatever needs to be taped and get me back out there. They get me back out there. I didn't lose a lap because caution laps weren't counting. I go out there, I start trying to pass people. It's counter steering. And then I'm like, I'm trying to steer to the right. And I'm like, it won't steer right. I'm like, I'll just slow down. And so I finished 10th with a car with the left front only being held on with the exhaust. The radius rod would flip and hit the exhaust manifold and like lock itself in place. I'm like, well, that was kind of sketchy, but the car was faster. I don't understand why, but I'm like, all right, maybe I need more caster in that car. But, so.
Oh boy, you have been a man of. I think you told me a couple of these stories before, and they're always so much fun to listen to. Because I sit here and think at the same time, I'm like, that's something I would do too.
A lot of people like, you always hear the stories of like the guys that don't give up and stuff like that. And I've never been one of those guys that like, I'm not a favorite to win anytime I go in. I've never been like, I'm never going to show up to the track and there's going to be like people like J.R. Fitzpatrick and be like, oh yeah, Feeney's taking Fitzpatrick down today. That's never ever going to happen in my life. if it does, recall this and play it back for me.
Someone better get this on video.
I think you're recording it right now. But yeah, like I said, I'm never gonna show up against guys like that with that kind of experience to be like, hey, he's got a shot to win this. Like, I'm gonna be a guy I'm never gonna give up. Something like losing power steering, I'm gonna fight through it. If that car will physically drive around the track where it's not gonna harm somebody else that I can control, like if a wheel's falling off, I'm gonna pull over because at that point it's a risk to other people. But small things like a radius rod, that all that's doing is making infinite caster adjustments, so it's still holding on, it's still safe ish, but like you drive accordingly. So like I've lost brakes. I think everyone at one point has lost brakes. I've dropped last year in the late model, I dropped the transmission. It fell out of the clutch, but we got locked in the high gear somehow. So I went out just in high gear, so I couldn't hit the clutch. So I was running, I think, third in the late models when all of a sudden there was a wreck in front of me, and they zipped back around the track, and the transmission fell all the way to the clutch, and we were done. But yeah, I don't know if that's because, so my one feature win I have comes from Kawartha Speedway, when all of a sudden we're doing the mini stocks and the bone stocks at the exact same time because there was a limited amount of cars for both fields. So at Kawartha Speedway being a big track, if you put 10 cars out there, it is boring.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about mini stock or bone stock. So we put all the field together. We raced for the same money. So like if I would have won the mini stock race, I would have got the mini stock payout.
Yeah.
But they would have got their mini stock trophies and stuff like that, and I would have got my bone stock trophies. Well, halfway through the race, I'm pushing as hard as I can. There's guys from dirt tracks and stuff like that. There's guys from like Peterborough Speedway, Sunset Speedway, Barrie Speedway, I think was still in existence. And then all of a sudden, we're like done the race, and they're calling me down to victory lane. I'm like, oh, I must be in the top 3. They're doing top 3 interviews down the bottom. So I see the 3 mini stocks. I'm like, oh, cool. I'm like 3 mini stocks. I'm like, I think it was Tyler Junkin, Ryan Babin, and I think it was Camrath. I'm not 100% sure. But then all of a sudden, where's the rest of the bone stock? I'm the only one down here. They're like, everybody broke trying to keep up with the mini stocks. You're the only guy that survived it, your whole class. I'm like,
Oh.
so I don't know if that's why I keep fighting, because anything can happen.
Yeah.
Like everybody sits there and laughs, be like, I always said, like, sometimes that my best chance of being is a 28-car pileup. Frosttoberfest 2017, there was a 28-car pileup coming to the green flag. I was the only car that didn't make contact through the entire thing, I think.
Jeez.
So that video is on Tilt Power on YouTube if you guys want to check it out after watching the podcast. It is a great clip because the 2 leaders come side by side and they roar together, and then the whole field, it's Frostfest. Nobody wants to lose. It's one of the last races of the year. And yeah, everyone just piled up. I had that weird gut instinct that something stupid was going to happen, so I laid back. And you can only watch in the video. All of a sudden, everybody goes, and I wait like 6 car lengths, and then I slowly drive through the field. But then they come up to me like, oh, it's going to be a complete restart except for involved cars. I'm like, everybody's involved except for me. So they're like, do you want to start up front? I'm like, no, I just watched that. I'm like, put me back in my spot. Like, I'm okay not starting up front. Like, I don't have the car to beat these guys. I had a car, like I said, it was single master cylinder, drum brakes in the back. I weighed 3,500 pounds compared to like some guys like 3,000-pound cars. I'm like, I was not winning that race unless they did that again. But
take out some more cars. Like,
yeah, I think I ended up finishing, I want to say it was 14th, but because I missed the first race when they did the double features, I was like 20th overall or something like that.
okay.
But that's just the way it was. Like, you have to be prepared to finish the race because anything can happen.
You're absolutely right. You never know what is going to happen, because there's been plenty of times where, I'm sure we've all logged thousands of laps of just watching videos, and you can tell when something's about to happen. And, even playing back old races, like, let's be honest, Brandon, how many times have you watched that YouTube video of last week of your in car?
A lot. I've lost count. It was like 230 views. I'd probably at least 40 of them.
You know what? We're gonna do an official check right now. because I haven't checked it. Last time I checked, it was at like 223, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like 237 the last I checked.
Jesus. See, look at that. This guy probably checks daily.
No, I stopped checking this week because it was like, so I actually use that video not even so much as to watch what I'm doing, but I've sent that to people like John Baker Jr. Like, hey, do you see anything in this car that I'm doing wrong that I can improve as a driver? Because I'm driving a car that a Hall of Famer built. So I don't know if it's me slowing the car down. I don't know if I can improve it any at all, or if, you know, I'm getting the most of this car. Like, so I was like, hey, if I send it to other people that will give me the raw, honest opinion, be like, all right, I'll know if it's me screwing up or if maybe I need to adjust the car for Peterborough a little bit.
Yeah. Well, that night we came out, you were on a string of what, 3 weeks in a row, 4 weeks in a row of 4th place finishes.
Yeah, I was 3 in a row in the 4th place in the feature.
Yeah, like
And then I got
unfortunately you got
5th.
passed by was it Marley Owen there?
Yeah,
With,
I
like,
didn't realize when she got to me, it was 2 to go. Otherwise, I probably would have raced her a little harder for that 4th. But at the same time, at Peterborough Speedway, there's no upper crew. I'm like, hey, maybe if the caution comes out, you know, I'm in 5th now, and I'm going to get 2 spots.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I was losing on tire there. In the beginning of the video, when we're going out the lineup, you could hear me talking. I know you've heard this whole conversation with myself, John, thinking about, oh yeah, they're on fresh tires. They're on fresh tires. They have fresh tires. Oh, I'm not on fresh. Paul's on fresh. Oh, I think Marley's got stickers I can see. I'm like, so I'm having this whole conversation. Like, this is going to be a bad night. I'm like one of the few guys here on old tires, which I was still on old tires this week. Which the car was a lot looser this week for some weird reason. I spun that thing out twice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we did the whole like John Force burnout coming out of 4, where you couldn't see to get back on the track. So luckily it was practice and wasn't any good tires or anything like that. It is what it is.
Now I hope someone had video of that because that would be interesting to watch.
I think Stronco was there. I did
yeah?
the exact same thing spinning out in the heat because we had some people are blocking in the heats because of how competitive the field is. So you're trying to get the few points you can to the heats and stuff for that qualifying position. So I just caught somebody probably about 4 car lengths before I was supposed to hit the brakes. I caught them heading on the brakes and lock up, and I just got sideways before I even turned into the corner. I'm like, well, I can either spin this out and not wreck the car off the outside wall. And then I rolled into the back of the inside wall, and I think that's what broke the trans, but it's never good to take a bump as you're 6,000 RPM.
No, absolutely not. You never want that to happen. But anyway, so I want to jump ahead here because I find we have a kind of a weird story of how you and I got introduced to each other. I think it's kind of weird. So the first time we ever met, Brandon and I ever met, was at Motorama this year. And this guy, Brandon.
Did you actually get introduced to me because Cam was doing the Feeney call and you did it better?
No. No.
I swore that's like Cam was doing the Feeney call, and then like we were talking on Facebook, I think, at that point, but I thought you were the wrong John Morrison.
That's where I was going with this. I was walking back from the next hall over, from hall 2, I think it is. Yeah, because we're in 1B. I was coming back from hall 2, walked by, and you're like, "Where's your race car? What are you talking about?" And you're asking me about, where my car was. I'm like, "I don't own one." He's like, "Aren't you Johnny Morrison?" I was like, "No." And I was like, "I'm John Morrison, but not Johnny Morrison," which is funny because, the fact that if y'all remember, you guys would remember that back in 2020, they did the Caldecott iRacing deal, right? And in those races, I was looking and there was a J. Morrison in the 83. And I'm looking like, who the hell is also a J. Morrison here in Ontario? That
If you actually look, I was in those races. I think I was racing for them.
Yep. I do. I watch those religiously. I remember watching you up there too. But the fact that you mistaken me for him, I was like, oh man, now I wish I had a better story. But you are correct though. I was over by you when Cam, I was talking to John or someone over in the Sabo area. I can't remember who I was talking to, but I kept looking up and I see Cam was over there talking to you. And then after I was done, who I can't still, it boggles my mind who was talking. It could have been Andrew Gressel. I think I was talking to Gressel. And then next thing I come over, you and I start talking, and Cam comes back, and we were already joking prior about the Feeney call, I think.
Yeah. I think that joke started very early. I think me and Cam started that joke probably before the show.
Yeah.
Because I said that's how he had to meet me. He had to just yell it out and just like walk over. Just because you grow up with the last name, you get used to it. It's actually kind of funny. Because like if somebody knows you, they have to know you to do that.
Yeah.
Because the only times like you walk up, because like with racing, you walk up and like a fan will come and be like, "Hey, Brandon, how's it going?" I'm like, "Hey, bud."
Yeah.
So like you walk up to the Feeney call, be like, "Hey, you know to do that." So it's like,
Yeah.
well, now people are gonna watch this, and I'm gonna have like 100 people doing it just for fun. But Sobeys is gonna be so much different now.
But that's how I got you to come up on stage. Because I was there to do the live show, because Greg McPherson invited us to come down and do the live show. Megan was unfortunately unable to come the Saturday, but she was able to be there the Sunday. But you came up on the Saturday, and I did my whole little like introduction spiel stuff that we usually do on the show. And then I'm like, and now we're gonna bring in our guest of the show. We're gonna bring in the driver number 38, Brandon Feeney.
I just realized that is Megan actually old enough to know that show's reference?
No, I had to search it up. He had to show.
I just realized that I'm like, she's not old enough to know who Mr. Feeney is.
But she should. That's the problem.
She does now. That's all that's important.
Exactly.
There's been a few times lately I've said something thinking she might know it, and she's like, I have no clue what the heck you're talking about. I'm like, I want to hit my head off the wall. Like,
so here's the funny thing about that. It's like I have a lot of people like, oh, they quote movies and stuff like that. I don't watch movies.
Yeah.
I'm either in the trailer working on my car, I'm here playing iRacing or something like that, or I'm at work. That's the majority of my life. I'm either working on cars and getting paid, working on my cars and spending my money, or racing video game cars to hopefully make people spend money on my real car. That's the whole circle of life here.
Yeah. But meanwhile, I'm over here. I'm like, I watch movies, I watch shows, and I know a lot of the references, and it bugs me when other people don't. So I'm like, and I just wasted years of my life remembering this for nothing.
But here's the weird thing is I remember stupid little things for no reason.
Oh,
like if I could control my memory, I'd be a smart person.
I feel that. I feel that so much.
Like we'll be having a random conversation and like I'll pull out the answer like almost like it's Jeopardy and like, how do you know that? I'm like, no.
I just do.
I learned it one time in grade 3 on this day on this. What'd you have for breakfast? What's breakfast?
I'll take useless information for 1,000, Alex.
Who's the new host of that?
I don't know. I think they're flip-flopping around with hosts right now.
I thought they decided on one.
I think it was the Canadian guy that won a lot.
Was it?
I don't know. I haven't watched Jeopardy since I was a young kid.
The intro to this podcast is going to be Weird Al. I lost on Jeopardy.
Dude, I already got the Feeney call lined up, so that way so when we introduce you, we got the Feeney call coming on.
Perfect.
Oh, it's even going to be better. But no, I thought that was hysterical how you thought I was someone else, and over those 2 days at the show, we just shot the crap between each other, and it was pretty damn funny how like we just instantly clicked at the show.
Oh yeah, we got along great. It was so we were there Saturday. Then we both went down to Flamborough on our own accord because you were working with the CVMs.
Yep.
I went down there just because Motorama, as a person that's working the venue, it gets very repetitive. You're talking to a lot of people. So like I said, I'm actually not much of a big people person. Like I don't like crowds, oddly enough. But so like all of a sudden Sunday night, big crowds. I'm like, oh, look at the time. It's time to go down to Flamborough and work on. Like I'll jump in on work on someone's car if they ask me to. Like I have no problem doing that. But like if 30, 40 people like start like crowding around me, and I'm like, no, I'm just gonna hop in my car and like start signing autographs. So like if you ever come to Peterborough Speedway and we do like the fan appreciation stuff like that, if you ever see me in the car, it's just all of a sudden the crowd got too big and I'm just like zoning myself out and trying to get back into like the right spot so I don't run and be terrified.
Honestly, man, I understand where that's coming from though. Like it's tough sometimes, right?
Like I said, I've just never been a big people person, and then
Yeah.
like, and nowadays like I've been enunciating this whole podcast, I think.
You're doing a really good job tonight.
Yeah, like you know me in person, like all of a sudden I'll start stuttering words and stuff like that, and that's how many times I've hit my head. I used to be able to really talk really well because I could talk, I could sell, I don't know the politically way of thing, I could sell anything, but you know where I'm going with this. Like
Yep.
a lot of people will get the reference, and but yeah,
You
like
sell an ice to an Eskimo kind of thing.
yeah, I was going for a politically correct version, but all right.
Oh.
I couldn't figure one out, so you said it.
Sell an ice to a polar bear then. I'll cut out the other one.
But yeah, like you know what I mean. Like so
Absolutely.
I actually got my first ever derby car by putting a Kijiji ad saying about how much we were gonna work, and friggin' some guy bid it, and that's how motorsports started. Like
Oh wow.
so like it was literally I put a bluff out on Kijiji, someone called my bluff. I had to call my own bluff, build a derby car. I think we ended up finishing third with that car at like my hometown fair after almost getting flipped. So I'm like, well, he's got to love that. Sponsor was hooked. We ran with that sponsor for a couple of years. He was a towing company, gave us cars and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, freaking, I'm like, hey, if I did this with one sponsor, I was the derby guy everyone hated because I had like 6 sponsors on my car paying me like $200 a piece. But these guys were like, man, I got my entry covered. I'm like, man, you gotta do all the social media. Like, so like I actually did more social media for my derbies than I did at racing at the beginning. So I'm like, oh, it's racing. Like, they want to be on race cars. You're not smacking it up. You don't have to do all this extra work because the car lasts all year. I was wrong. But
Yeah,
sorry.
it's fun. And earlier this week you up on TikTok there, you took you took the one clip of you talking about the wall of the Peterborough, and I swear, man, I thought I sent those other clips to you. So I am sorry that you didn't get all of them.
It's all
and
good.
there's still more I'm like scratching the surface of because I've been so busy last week, and I'm hopefully gonna get them transferred over to my phone and send them off to you as soon as I can. But yeah, like it's unreal.
So when I get bored, I do stuff like that. So like I realized the camera was in the car for something, so I was trying to be kind of entertaining TV personality. And then like all of a sudden I forgot it was there. And then I do no, don't touch me there. This is my no square. And I'm like, right, cameras. Oh well. But there's actually, so when I first started late model, the first ever time I had radios on, Brock Baker was spotting for me. We're under red flag. Somebody went out the opening, and to keep calm, I'm sitting there, do baby shark do all that stuff, singing over the radio, making him sing it back from the crowd. So people think he's gone loony because he's doing the next verse, and like they're not hearing the ones in between. The only problem is I'm sitting there like dancing to it, bouncing my foot on the gas pedal, flooded the carburetor. Yeah, don't do that. We got bump started, fired it up, fireball out. But yeah, so if you're ever dancing in your race car that has a carburetor, do not pump the gas pedal.
Hit the brakes.
Yeah, always go for clutch and brakes. Move your feet over one set of pedals and you'll be fine. But yeah, it's I am like the biggest definition of squirrel you will ever meet. Like probably halfway through this podcast, we probably started talking about something, and I seen like food and like, ooh, like I had to keep Oreos here just to keep myself entertained. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, Oreo. So if you ever see me like just like sneak off here, it's probably because I'm having an Oreo.
Hey, nothing wrong with that, man.
No, the worst part is I have the Nutella to dip them in as well.
Oh Jesus Christ.
Oh, that sounds good.
So What's funny is you're not the first guy I know that's ever sung in his race car and actually hit the button. I used to crew for a guy, David Elliott, and whenever I wore the headset, just listening, just to click off lap times and stuff. All of a sudden he'd be like, let's say it would be under yellow flag condition. All I hear is oh man, what did I hear? He would just start singing something random.
It's like the whole Bubba Wallace where he starts rapping down the straightaway.
No, he was very
that was too thin slower. Did you guys not like my freestyle?
But no, he sang whatever his heart felt like at the time, and oh man, it was just, you were just sitting there listening. I was like, is this guy really singing right now? Like,
so fun fact, I don't have that button in my car, and because I use like actually my helmet for my headset now instead of like the cheap ones you get with the walkie talkies. Like I don't have real radios. I have walkie talkies off Wish that actually showed up.
Yeah.
So like everyone's like, oh, they got their big like Motorola spotting setup, and I've got Baofeng 888s. But you know what? They work.
hey, they work, but
I got 8 radios, I want to say, for $80. And then I bought like 2 headsets. I actually could hear somebody talking to me for like $150 a piece.
yeah. Now we need to get you a sponsor for the radios for some proper radio setups. So,
or at least a button where I could talk back.
or just a push to talk.
So.
You know what? I'm gonna look on Grisdale's and I'll reach out to some guys who's got a push to talk, see how much I can get one for you.
So
and
here's
I'm gonna
the funny
send
thing.
it to you.
Here's the funny thing, because I had the Baofangs, I used the rare, I think it's the Kenwood plug, which they don't make a lot of stuff for it. So I think everyone has the Motorola where they're so they're smaller spacing. And
yeah.
So mine's a Kenwood, so it's a bigger spacing, and they're the other way. So I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna look for this because it probably doesn't exist. I took forever to find my like radio thing for my helmet where it would actually plug into the MSIC connector. And even that's duct taped together to work.
All right. So if anyone would like to sponsor Brandon a proper full system here, contact us and we'll get it to him, or contact Brandon himself. Because let's get you into some proper gear.
Yeah, I've got like one of the nicest cars in Ontario, and I'm not saying like the wrap is nice. I'm saying like I've bought one of the nicest cars in Ontario from the guy who built it, and it's like he was so worried because I'm starting to put all this like weird sketchy stuff in. Like he goes, "That's what you use for radios? That's what you use for this?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "I'm just gonna give you a lot of parts that like I was gonna keep, but you clearly need them because I don't want to see you run stock control arms on a super stock."
Oh boy. Yeah, man, it's I don't even know where to go next after that, because like where do you go?
The next thing on your piece of paper, that's where you go.
You know what's funny? Here's the thing about my show.
You dropped a piece of paper, turned it into an airplane, and just threw it.
No, I never plan. Because the one thing is who was it? It was on the Dale Jr. download, and they were talking to someone. I can't remember who. But it was a media guy, and essentially the media guy had his list of questions. Okay.
Oh, like Dale Jr.'s media guy?
No, it was it was someone from just in general, like the meeting, the media for NASCAR. Just someone in general, and they were having a TV interview with him, and essentially it wasn't with Dale Jr., it was someone else. I think it was Jimmy Johnson, but they were talking to him, and they were saying that he would, if let's say Jimmy, I think it was Jimmy, so let's say it's Jimmy Johnson, if Jimmy started trailing off away from where the interviewer wanted it to go, he would stop him and bring him back.
Man, I need that for like everyday life.
Okay. So but
that's
the thing.
For that package for JoMo Media, like follow me around every day. Like when I start, so funny story, we're at work. The Goodyear blimp flies above. Somebody tells me this. I'm like, well, there goes my day. Every like 15 minutes, like, oh, there it is. When are we filming? he was here for a golf tournament, but I didn't know that. I thought he was, maybe circling around. We're a Goodyear dealer. Like,
Yeah.
maybe it was like ad time we paid for. I don't know. But like half my day was chasing where a blimp went that had nothing to do with my job.
See, you know what? Here's the thing. This is the thing for me, and Megan learned this yesterday. I have this flight radar app on my phone. So like where I live in Brampton now, and it's a prime real estate for airplane because we're so close to the airport.
Yeah.
Okay. Essentially, if I sit out in the backyard right now and I look up, I can see the planes that are coming in from like Vancouver, Calgary, Winnipeg, stuff like that, as they'll come fly towards our house and essentially bank off left or right, depending on which way they're landing. So there's times we're sitting here and we just like, oh, wonder where that one come from. So we bring it up on our app. Oh, this one's coming from Calgary. 5 minutes later, oh, that one's from Vancouver, or that one's from Winnipeg, or
So did you catch like the thing I threw at the window of the plane coming back from Vancouver last year?
Oh boy. Jesus Christ. But I know Megan's I'm just gonna call him your brother-in-law, Cody.
Mhm.
He got the app today, and he's like, what do you say? He goes, it's like, oh, I just looked at the app. He's like, I wonder why there's no planes flying to Russia. Or, I don't want to misquote him. I don't want to misquote him because it was funny. Where is it, Cody? There you are. Sorry, Cody. He goes, I like how there's no planes going to Russia. Oh God. But yeah, but anyways, I love sitting out here watching the planes. And for me, Jacklyn and I, my girlfriend and I will be sit out back, and next thing you know, we'll have this serious, deep conversation, and I'll hear the plane and go, where's it going? Flight radar. Ooh, that one came in from Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Like,
so funny story. So we're sitting there. You just looked at your phone. So I'm like, I should probably check because like I don't know how long people are trying to mess with me or something like that if there's anything important. So because the whole thing with Cam Harris, we'll probably touch on later, maybe depending on how long we go. He goes, so I've been kind of known for stirring the pot for making things happen. So I'm like, man, he goes, you need a spoon sponsor. So he just like tags me in this on Facebook. He goes, we need to make this happen. So Cam, when you watch this, because I know you watch JoMo now, at least not you will be now, because you kind of forced to. We mentioned your name, you have to watch.
Oh, we're gonna tag him. We are now gonna tag him in the post for Tuesday.
Yeah. So yeah, they're watching. I eat a lot of cake. I'm a big boy. I can be sponsored by Betty Crocker. I will wash it down with a Dr. Pepper or whatever company wants to sponsor me. I'll put it in the cup. I will drink that in the race car.
Dude, oh, I feel the same way. Betty Crocker. Oh, actually, by the way, that's something I gotta remake again, and I gotta bring out a tray to you, Brandon, and a tray to Megan as well. It's called half hour pudding. If you guys have ever
I don't
heard
know
of
if
it.
I trust this. So like I'm a really picky eater. Like I'm a super picky eater. Like I don't eat vegetables. There's like if things are not the way I like it, I've basically grown up this way. I tried to like change my eating habits a few years ago. Like, I'll start like with lettuce on myself. Like small change. No, like instantly sick. And it's like, well, that was a bad choice. But like I've tried here and there to do certain things, but it's like, yeah, one of those things is like I don't try a lot of new things because I'm like, especially if someone makes it, because you don't want to offend the person because like, oh, sorry, I'm not going to eat what you like slaved over the stove for. But yeah, it's just like, yeah, I'll totally try this when you're not in eyesight. So if I have to like do have that reaction, it's like, oh yeah, it was great. You want to make it for again? Oh no, that was good the one time. We're good. But,
Okay.
The kid
Okay.
that helps me, hey, you will polish it off.
Okay, so we're gonna touch on that because I thought that was hysterical when we came out. But so this half hour pudding is essentially just brown sugar, vanilla, flour, and like I think an egg or two or something like that. Okay, so
I don't like that we're guessing ingredients already. Could we add chocolate to that? Because everything chocolate tastes way better.
I'll make some chocolate macaroons.
Okay, I'm kind of special. What's a macaroon? Is it just like a cookie?
It's a no bake cookie.
Okay.
Wait, is that like the haystack ones?
That's the thing is they have so
Because
many different names. I've heard
them
froggers, I've
macaroons.
heard haystacks. Like The only thing is mine does not have coconuts.
This
There's
is
also
like
one you can make with coconut. Now we're doing cooking with JoMo. Like
this. Hey, this is like the whole like Dave Frank thing at Motorama all over again. We brought up food and we're like, ooh, we're going over this way now. So stay tuned for your new Thursday show, Cooking with JoMo.
This week on the show, we're going to be making half-hour pudding
at the racetrack on a campfire stove. We're going to show you your top favorite racetrack tips for eating wealthy.
You know what? I wonder how good that would taste if I smoke it.
Which way?
If we're doing cooking we're on a smoker.
Yeah, which way you? Okay, a smoker. I was like, some people smoke on a barbecue. What were you thinking?
You know damn well what I'm thinking.
I noticed
we're
that
not
like
talking Snoop Dogg here.
Hey, I did notice that every time one of us starts talking, nobody's taking a drink until we have a pause, just so nobody has a spit take.
My problem is I'm out now.
I actually just topped it up.
Oh,
so when you heard the loud clunk, I have like extra bottles all close by me. So some of us come prepared.
That was my mistake tonight. Usually, usually I'm good.
You know, when we start talking, it's gonna be a long time.
Oh, but it's always a good time.
Well, nobody leaves disappointed.
Heard that a time or two.
There's gonna be wives like messaging into the show. You can't make fun of my husband on his own show like that.
Watch me.
You're the only one with a wife.
I make fun of myself all the damn time.
So yeah, that's the weirdest thing. Is like, so I've always found like through high school and stuff like that, I wasn't one of the popular kids. You know, I'm 6'2" since size big. I was a tall, lanky kid that was a nerd. Like I'm still playing Pokemon Go. Like I'm pretty sure I'm the only driver in like bone stocks to catch a friggin' Pikachu in the backstretch of Peterborough Speedway under a red flag.
Okay, that's genius though.
Well, cell phones are now banned for a certain Facebook Live incident. I know the driver, I know the name. I'm just not going to mention it because, you know.
Yeah, no need to.
We've all seen the video.
Yeah.
Genius. Like, it's great marketing. But
yeah.
But yeah. So, yeah, there actually is a spawn point at Peterborough Speedway back there. It's down by, so if anybody knows Peterborough Speedway, where they dug the banking out, there's basically a pond in the back. So that's actually a spawn point because it's a wildlife reserve now. It's also where that stunt guy tried to jump it like twice with a rocket car.
I'm sorry.
There's a little bit of really? You of like the history of motorsports don't know a guy tried to jump that pond in the back with a rocket car?
I don't remember hearing that about that one.
This was like 70s or 80s. He tried it the first time and went bad, and the second time went worse. I can't remember his name. He's a famous stunt guy. It's not Super Dave Osborne. Somebody on this podcast will watch and let you know. Somebody knows the name, but right now I can't think of it. Somebody will ask me in 10 minutes, and I'll be like, "Oh, it's that guy." Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm gonna have to try to find this later. Like the first one I have is how to jump a lake with a rocket car.
What do you mean how? Strap a rocket to a car, send it. Wear a life vest.
Yeah. Oh, maybe that one.
Okay, the first thing that came up when I googled it is Ken Carter.
Yeah, that's it. Ken Carter.
Okay.
He's like one of the like biggest stunt guys from Ontario like ever.
All right, let's see it. Let's see if the I have it. I have a video playing up on my YouTube right now, so I'm gonna hopefully see it because like
Okay, who's got the dog? Because that sounds like a pretty dog.
Me.
Okay. Is it a lab?
It's my boyfriend's dad's dog. He's like I don't know what he is.
Well, bring him over.
Wilson, come here. Oh, he's coming. He's coming.
Oh, that's a big boy. Well,
Yeah, he is.
I knew it was a pretty dog.
He's a cute dog. Yeah, he's a good boy. He's just loud.
It's fine to be loud. He's a dog. He's allowed to be.
I know he's a mixture. It's like right there. He's got like a curly piggy tail though.
Yeah, it looks like he's kind of like husky, maybe some German Shepherd in there.
Something. I'll remember it in a minute.
Yeah. After we're done watching the Ken Carter video, be like, what? So instead of playing Who's That Pokemon, what kind of dog was you said it was Wilson? Like
Yeah.
Wilson, like the beer?
Yeah.
All right.
See, now I gotta see if it. I found it, so let's see if it brings it up, because like that's so interesting though.
I
you, like,
can't believe
screen
you
share
knowing.
on Sorry.
Maybe not with copyright things with the podcast.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those things like you're a pretty big history buff with motorsports. Like you know a lot of stuff, and like that if I would have known, I would have had Charlie tell you all about it, because like Charlie Toner is a huge Peterborough Speedway history buff.
Yeah, because to me, like that's like I love history. Like I love learning about history. Like I guarantee you, I'm probably maybe one of like a few people who have a copy of what was that show called? Dale Jr. hosted it, and it was a race recap of old races. They used to air them on Speed Channel all the time.
Wow, that's going back Speed Channel.
Do you know what show I'm talking about though?
I know what show you're talking about. Do I know the name now?
No, I can't remember, but like throughout the episode they would talk about what was popular that year, what was like the biggest hit during that race, what, you know, anything weird that happened, and like I was so glued to those.
So speaking of glued to those, have you ever watched the like Crew Chief Corner with Larry McReynolds? So
Wait,
like
what is it called?
It's like Crew Chief Corner with Larry McReynolds, and he tells you like different ways they would cheat on cars, like that they're still doing today. It's all on YouTube. It's like the Gum Out like secret minute or something like that. And like each time it's like, I want to say it's like a 5-minute video on YouTube, but it's like, oh, this is how we made spoilers change and all this stuff, and this is how we still cheat to this day. I may have done certain things after watching that to my car. I mean, if you're a tech guy from any big series, I've definitely following all the rules with my car, I swear.
Oh yeah. Oh, there it is. 60 seconds with Larry.
There it is.
Oh,
that's like a whole series, and it's like so many things, and like they're not even touching on like Smokey Unic stuff.
No. Oh, that's gonna be so bad for me to watch.
Good news is only 60 seconds long, so you can you can watch like a couple.
About? Actually, this one's 1:54.
It must be one of the first ones.
Yeah, it was Larry Max pushing the envelope, the magic spoiler.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh boy.
I'm like changing JoMo's life tonight.
Oh my god, I thought I knew a lot. Now I found
so,
I found a new. I know what I'm going to be watching before going to bed tonight. Now, damn.
So like I watched really like back when I did derbies. There's not much you can do to study for a derby. You can watch how people hit and stuff like that and try to figure out. But once you get hit the first time, all everything's broken loose.
Yeah.
So what I used to do to build my cars is I'd watch hours of crash test video of the car I'm building in slow-mo, zoom in, watch what crumpled where, watch it crumple another where. If I was a better welder at that time, I would have some really good cars.
Yeah.
Because like I would patch things in certain ways in certain areas to fix that. But like I remember like my first derby car I welded myself. I welded an aluminum bumper onto steel, figured that one out.
I don't know how you managed that one, gonna be honest with you.
It lasted 2 hits, but it was attached when it showed up, which was still impressive.
Yeah.
I so if you're familiar with demolition derbies, I built a Chevy Lumina that I run at Fall Brawl as a straight stock gut and go into a pro mod, which is like essentially a late model. Essentially, you're taking a bone stock against late models if you go to Racing World.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it shouldn't be that bad. Yeah, what was like third last, but like I like sitting there welding. It still drove after that. Yeah, apparently you need snow tires. But yeah, That's it. I find like weird stuff like that to watch. Like, so like racing, there's guys that will post videos, or not even post videos. They have secret files of like stuff they watch themselves. So like the biggest thing I've watched is trying to figure out the art of a pass. So like a lot of people nowadays will just drive into your back bumper and move you up the track, and that's how they get the run on you. I have watched probably the same video of one dude passing a car at Peterborough Speedway probably 150 times. It's exactly where he brakes, how much of a gap he gets, where he gets on the throttle, how he like what like where exactly on the track it is. Like I still talk to him this day about that video and be like, hey, so like I was watching the video and like you do this here and this here. I'm like, how does that work? And then he'll explain and be like, oh, because this car's a little heavier, you have to do this. And like you can see that when you start watching like some of like even the video that when your camera was in the car there, you can see me attack certain little spots, but you either catch them in the wrong spot and you have to kind of lift. And with a crate motor, you lift. It's like a super speedway. You're not catching back up.
Mhm.
Oh man.
He's sidetracked. He's like trying to like create a playlist on all these like pushing the envelope videos.
Literally.
I'm sorry, man. I got so enthralled in them, and I haven't watched one yet. I'm just enthralled that they actually exist.
So there's also another thing of like Ray Everingham doing like things about carburetors and stuff like that.
Oh, dude.
He's gonna be up all night.
I'm gonna go to work tomorrow. Just zonked.
It sounds like you're not going to work tomorrow.
I'm gonna go to work. Now, whether or not I'm gonna do actual work is gonna be.
What are you doing? Studying how to do this job on YouTube. I swear.
Here,
But yeah.
that's the problem. Is me and my coworker know exactly what we're doing.
So if I find it on my phone, I sent it to one of my buddies on Facebook who was messaging. He's down in Florida. They run super late. His name's Dalton. He wanted to shout it, so this is the way I'm giving it to him. I sent him a video of me hanging the nose on my late model. So I don't have a garage. I was packing snow underneath the front of my late model and using like an industrial fan with like a smoke machine to see how the hanging the nose was affecting the car. Him in Florida, who A, doesn't have snow, and B, he has access to a wind tunnel to fix his car. He's just sitting there. I think he laughed on like a Facebook call for a solid 30 minutes and then hung up. He goes, that is so redneck. I'm like, but it works. Like, it's the stupid little things. Like, I never have one of the prettiest cars on the track, but everything's there for a reason. Like, last year, everyone's like, oh, stand your spoiler up, stand your spoiler up. Well, I got freaking information from this guy down in the States, Dalton, about what they're doing with spoilers on track less than a half a mile.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, let's try it out. And actually picked up speed on the car and changed handling characteristics. But everyone's like, aero doesn't matter on these tracks. Yeah, it does. Like, you think about late models at Peterborough Speedway are probably on the backstretch topping at 100 mile an hour, if not a little more. I can tell you right now, if I stick my hand at the window at 100 kilometer an hour, my hand goes back to the back window.
Mm.
So, like, think about what a fender hanging off is going to do to your car at that point.
Absolutely, because like aero doesn't matter, but it matters.
It matters a lot more than you think.
With a super stock and a late model, aero is gonna matter every time.
With a bone stock, it still matters.
You think so?
Bone stocks at Peterborough are going 120 kilometer an hour down the back straightaway. At least when I ran, I think they're going faster now.
Really?
Like, you're not going to be like, oh my god, I straightened one dent and I picked up 2/10.
Yeah.
But like, simple things as, you know, having a clean paint job on the hood will actually get rid of pushes out of a car sometimes. It's so like Megan's car, it was always like pristine at the beginning of the night. That was actually a big benefit with those big long straightaways at Flamborough. So
yeah.
you see guys with beat up cars like, oh, it's just, I guess the corner's got a big push. Well, yeah, it's because the nose isn't gripping the way it should. Like, if you want to talk about like pounds of downforce. I'm sure if somebody had millions of dollars, we could go take a beat up bone stock to a brand new one and like prove the point. But so if anyone here is rich and wants to see some like creative content, we will beat up a bone stock and have a brand new one. Just for your
I'm
pleasure.
so down for that kind of vlog. That would just be so much fun.
I'm actually
It would
building
be.
the new enduro car, so like we could do it on that with like all the fresh bumper, and then after the enduro. So, but like that's why a lot of these guys are switching on mini stocks. They're switching to late model noses, but they're not switching right now to the conventional late model nose. They're going to the new Gen 5 body, the one with the splitter on the front, and then
Yeah.
they're bracing it. That's forcing air through that opening, right? To cool the car down if you airbox it properly.
Yep.
And B, that's pushing that nose down. Those cars are mostly front wheel drive. That is giving you front grip. It may only be a hundredth of a second in the corner, but when you're this close and like racing is in Ontario right now, you need every advantage you can get. It doesn't matter what class you're in right now.
It's true.
You're absolutely right. I'm not gonna lie. Like, you know what? That's the thing too. Is last week you showed me, the next day you sent me screenshots of how close your field is down at Peterborough for your super stocks. No one's more than 2/10 off of what everyone's running.
Yeah, 2/10 on best lap, and the thing is, when we all slow down the exact same. It's
Yeah.
basically like if somebody loses drive off, like I've been having issues the last few weeks getting the rear end to bite. And it's like that's where all of a sudden they catch you because you heat your tires up and you wiggle, you have to lift a little bit. But it's like we can't pass right now at Peterborough without moving a guy or getting a huge run. So this is where coming like studying the art of a pass, how to set somebody up without losing all this time has to come in. Because when you're so right now, I think Mark, Gordon, Bailey Jacobs, and Marley are 14.9 flats to a 14.8, depending on the day. I'm right on their back with like a 14.9, 15.0. And there's Paul Bounty. There's a couple more cars this week that actually just came back. And all that stuff that they're like a 15.0 to a 15.1. But to be faster on the outside of Peterborough, you're looking at 2-3 tenths to be faster on the high side. Nobody's 2-3 tenths faster. Like you might be for a couple laps, but it's like, how do you pass on the outside when the whole field's that close?
Yeah. You're not gonna get that runoff you need.
Like you were there last weekend too. Like even the bone stocks, we went through a bone stock race with one caution and nobody was a lap down.
Yeah.
Like
One
everybody
caution
was
went
in
halfway.
packs. Like everybody was in big packs, and it's like they're so close in the racing. The field was so tightly packed. It's like nobody could get to the outside to pass for position, and they just stayed all in a big pack. Which normally in a bone stock is usually a really exciting race.
It was even last week. It was exciting to watch. There's
This is
still
what I was
exciting
talking about.
races. Yeah. Like it was not gonna lie. It was a lot different watching a bone stock from Peterborough, like a bone stock race from Peterborough compared to a bone stock race at Flamborough.
Yeah.
So at Flamborough, they start spreading out. You may have 2-3 cars, but over there at Peterborough, you saw like 5-6 cars all clumped together, and the next pack was maybe 4 car lengths in front of them.
They were being basically held up by one car, but
Yeah.
they couldn't get around. So it's like you had like 5 cars, and like 2, 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide was all an option back when I was running. Like so, Peterborough has a different set of weight rules than most tracks in Ontario, but because they do that, I think that's what they get the good racing out of. A lot of guys are like, oh, I don't want my Ecotech to weigh this, but like this is why Prelude's at 2,800 pounds and Ecotech's at 2,800. They're running side by side.
Yeah.
Like I went down to Flamborough with a car that I probably, if I wanted to go through tech, they got a top 3 with that color. One of the biggest races of the year. I went to Flamborough and I couldn't even qualify for the A main. I'm like, it's not like I don't know Flamborough that well, like as a driver, but like at the same time, like you take a car that was a top 3 car, which you could say had a chance at winning, because like I was always up there. Like, I think Phil Gibbons officially won that race, followed by somebody else. But yeah, the car that won it was actually the twin to the car I had.
Yeah.
But I'm like I said, certain times you have to avoid tech. That well, I guess I don't own that car now, but there are definitely some illegal pieces that I had leaked by tech. So yeah.
Oh boy. Well, we're okay. So I want to touch on, because we've gone a long time on this episode right now.
There's gonna be some editing to do.
Not a whole lot, but we're gonna bring you back on. We're gonna continue a lot more. Probably by the end of the year, we'll probably get you back on. But I want to talk, because we already said we're gonna give him a shout out. We got to give him a shout out again, where we got to actually go in depth about it. This past weekend, you had the guys from the Stickers and Scuffs podcast join you out at Peterborough Speedway. You had Cam Harris and Graydon Bunn join you. What was that like, having those guys at the track with you?
So Cam was working the OSS, as
Yep.
you know. Graydon was actually with his sons, which it's great bonding time.
Absolutely.
So Graydon got his first ever start in a race car at Peterborough Speedway. Fulfilled, a dream. He'll be back out, I'm sure, once things change a little bit for him. He's doing better now. And then Cam has always wanted to call a race. I've known this from talking to him, like I talked to you. Like, it's like me. I would love to drive a Penty car. No one's gonna fork that kind of money over for me.
Yeah.
But I knew it's so I'm I pull over Charlie, the announcer on the track. I'm like, hey, Cam works for the OSS, knows all the guys. Like, he should go up to the track with you and call the race for the OSS. He goes, Charlie's like, that's a great idea. The stories and all this. And so Cam was very, very emotional last night. He fulfilled his dream.
Yep.
I'm not gonna lie, if I ever got start in even a truck or even a Penty's car, once I finish the race, good, bad, or ugly, you'd probably have to find me sobbing in a trailer because you know what I mean? It's the fact that I got to late model was kind of a dream for me. When I first started racing in 2014, I'm like, this is it. I'm a low budget guy. I'll say low budget because I'm not a no budget guy, because there's guys that run with a lot less than me. But I'm lucky to have sponsors I have. But so I'm a low budget guy that I do the best I can with what I got. It's I had the bone stock, and I took the same budget into the Thunder cars. I took the same budget in the Thunder cars in the late model. You scrape and scrounge, I can get 2 tires this week. And just because the payouts were different, I was able to get a little better payouts, and all that money went back into the car, right? So I realized by people helping me that I realized kind of my own dream, and I'm pretty much at the max where I'm going to be probably ever, unless somebody rich is looking for me to drive their car. I'll drive anything. But yeah, so I'm a kind of guy that will stir the pot, as we know at Motorama.
Yeah.
So I knew that he wanted this opportunity, so I just kind of pushed him off a cliff. So he had his choice of he could jump off and enjoy the fall, or he could be scared the entire way. So he jumped off and enjoyed the fall, and I think we're trying to get him back to the Autumn Colors Classic now this year as an announcer. So I still think it'd be good to have you there as an announcer as well, because I think you'd be very entertaining to call a race, especially especially because you have all the big track announcers coming up basically to do this weekend, because it's a three-day party weekend. So you got Charlie Toner, I think Gary Collin comes up once in a while, you have Brendan Doherty, and you have some fill-in announcers and stuff like that. I don't know their names. I'm sorry. I'm sure I'll learn it eventually, and then we'll do Jeopardy questions later about it. There are certain people that know certain drivers from certain tracks that, okay, so if you're calling, say, 6 races before you get a break or something like that, I don't know how it works. I've never been an announcer because I can't speak properly on cue. But it's one of those things that if we had, say, guys from Flamborough running mini stocks, all that stuff, all those guys run local classes, you could fill in where Charlie or Brendan wouldn't know, because those cars, you're always at Flamborough.
Yeah.
Where it's Charlie could fill in all the Peterborough cars, but you need to have all those personal touches in there, because sometimes races are boring. Sometimes they're just a train race like Dale Jr. at Daytona. They're all around the outside and just we're just trying to maintain it and not wreck it before the feature. But so you have to fill in the dead space and make it entertaining for people to not want to go to the concession stands 4 races too soon.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, do you ever finish that brownie?
Oh, dude, yeah, I did that. I did Friday. I did Friday night. No, Friday night. Yeah, Friday night. I finished them off.
That's the longest lasting brownie you've ever had.
That is the longest lasting brownie I've ever had. Okay, so next time I go, I'm hoping I can get back out one more time this year because that was a lot of fun.
Well, it
Megan,
sounds like you're
I'm
coming for
picking you
colors.
up. Huh?
I was gonna
Sounds
say
like you're coming for colors.
I can't promise I'm going to be there for colors.
You can't make one day of colors on Thanksgiving weekend.
I got my kids that weekend.
Bring the kids.
We'll see. We'll see. I can't confirm nor deny nothing until closer to.
Yeah.
But
Okay, so kids will love racing. Like even if
100%.
you're not there as official business, it's family bonding time.
Absolutely. But next time if I go, Megan, I'm bringing back some damn brownies if you don't go before me.
I think honestly, if you go next time, you better pick up Megan because she's really been wanting to get it to Peterborough.
I need to go. They're so bad.
So next time we go, Megan, you're driving to Brampton. And then we'll drive out from my house.
That's a deal.
The person who drives home is the person who eats the least amount of brownies before they leave. Like,
oh boy, that's good. That would be a lot of fun.
Peterborough has such underrated track food. Like they have probably top 3 track food in Ontario.
Oh my god!
But because everyone's like
started.
So like Flamborough is known for the flam burger. Peterborough is probably the second best burger at tracks that I've personally had. Everyone's got their own opinions. We can argue about it later on Cooking with JoMo show. Their fries are really good as well. They're in the top 3 for all tracks I've been to. Like most of the food at Peterborough is in the top 3, but it's like the only thing they kill on number 1 is those brownies. So it's like so like certain things you get at Flamborough, like I wish I didn't order that. Like that's every track, but like Peterborough seems like the whole menu is like top 3 food tracks.
Oh, the burgers, fantastic. The French fries. Oh my god. I actually put vinegar and salt on it. Normally I just put salt on them. And I hardly had to use any ketchup. Which is rare for me.
Yeah, because those are like freshly cut, like locally grown.
Oh yeah, so good. And you know
the only
what?
thing that would make that better is a deep fried Mars bar.
You know what the fact I really liked about Peterborough though is that they had stuff in combos.
And it's not horribly priced for a regular night. Like if you go to a Blue Jays game or something like that, if you buy a hamburger combo with fries, drink, and the burger, I was like, it's $25.
Yeah.
At Peterborough, I want to say it's $14.25.
I think it was like $15 for us to have a burger, fry, and drink.
Which isn't
for one combo.
Which isn't horrible for a track. Like
absolutely not.
You have to understand, like the tracks have to make money or we don't get a race. So like they are paying somebody to make that food for you. Then they're also losing, they have to have the person at the the track, which they're technically losing revenue because half the people that work at the track are race fans.
Yeah.
Like let's be fair. Like most of the people that started working the track were race fans first. Maybe, if I work at the track, I get to watch racing. Far from it. You don't get to watch any. So it's like, unless you work like what job is it that Spencer worked at Flamborough? He's like the timekeeper or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So like he's a big race fan himself, right? So it's like he gets to watch, but he picked that perfectly. So I don't know if I could ever work at a racetrack because I'm way too into racing, way into helping. So
I know that's kind of what I'm worried about when I go up to Sawball on the 27th. Because I'm going
this month.
Yeah, I'm going up the Wednesday. They have a Wednesday Dash for Cash race. 5K to
Wednesday Dash for Cash race. That's a weird day.
Yeah, it's Wednesday, July 27th. It leads right into the APC series race on Saturday and the Beat the Heat 150 on the Sunday of the Civic Holiday long weekend.
It's weird because I am off racing that weekend. It's like,
and it's
I say I'm off. I'm supposed to run Sunset, but yeah, right now my car's still broke.
Yeah,
my car's still broke.
And then it's 2K to win for the combined Ford class.
So what you're saying is you haul one of my cars, I'll haul the other one. I can go for 7K.
Well, I don't know what I'm hauling in the freaking Dart.
It's Dodge on Dodge crime. You forgot my combined 4-car is a Dodge that not a lot of people know I have. That I just accidentally revealed. It's supposed to be picked up this week in the one of the Neon Masters is actually going to go over.
Oh yeah. I
Yep,
don't know. Maybe if
it's-
you sweet talk Megan, she'll come pick it up and take it up.
Yeah,
I'm
but
trying
if
to
I
get
sweet
Megan
talk
up there at the
Megan
same
into-
time. I'm sorry.
Hey, if I sweet talk Megan into taking up, I'm not going to have a driver's seat in it. Like, let's be fair
You
here.
can't get me to tow a car without me driving it. I have to work
Like,
that week anyway.
she would have way too much fun in that. You have to work on a Sunday?
No, it's the
a Sun-
Wednesday
the
race.
Sun-
I thought
Yeah,
I thought combined fours and all that stuff was
The Dash for Cash is Wednesday. It leads into that weekend.
okay. So what was in the weekend that was like 5 and 2? Is that the Dash?
That's the Dash for Cash on the Wednesday.
No. So what's like the Sunday race? Like 2 and 1?
Sunday's the Beat the Heat 150 for the Pro Late models.
I thought that was Saturday.
No, that's the APC race. So they have back-to-back late model feature. They have back-to-back
All
late
right.
model
So as we're
features.
being confused here, I hope you put like a graphic like right here, so like people can like follow on where I'm lost.
Okay, so Wednesday, July 27th is the Dash for Cash. 5K to win the United Eights, the Roots Gas Bar United Eights, and the 2K to win the combined fours. Saturday is the United Late Model Series. APC Pro Late Models are returning to Sauble Speedway for their race on Saturday night. And then Sunday is the Beat the Heat 150 at Sauble Speedway.
And
That's for the Pro Late
Sport
models.
shows with the 150.
Let me double check. I got
This is what I'm thinking. You think there'd be at least 1 or 2 support classes?
I know the Can-Am midgets are the one. I know the Can-Am midgets
So
are one.
I say I would drive anything. The only thing I'm actually kind of terrified to drive is a TQ midget.
They're crazy, eh?
So like I've looked at sidecars. I'm like, I am a big boy. If that thing goes over, bring marshmallows because it's not going to end well.
So it's the Inex Legend Car Series and the Can-Am midgets.
Maybe I'll have to borrow a legend car again.
Those are the guys who are running as a support shows for the Saturday and Sunday of the Civic Holiday long weekend at Sauble.
Yeah, I've actually never got to drive my legend up at Sauble because it's a really long drive. I think it's like 5 hours. When you don't have anyone to drive back with you, it's kind of a long haul to not have
just
a nap
camp
somewhere.
over at the track. You can camp over at the track. John lets you.
I was gonna say, are you gonna cuddle?
I'm a big cuddler, but I don't know how it's going to be in the middle of July.
Whatever. If we got the trailer, there's an air mattress. What happens? The trailer stays in the trailer, right?
Good thing I'm staying at Sauble Falls Tent Trailer Park. Hey, there's another plug there.
And that's
Jesus
probably the time
Christ.
you should use the word plug.
Oh God.
That part's gonna be cut out.
No, it's gonna stay in. But I love how this got started because I asked about Cam Harris and Graydon Bunn hanging out at your pit. And this is where we end up.
He just realized what I'm laughing at.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, so we're gonna get almost wrapped up here. But before we do, we have our fan question period. As you saw earlier today, we tagged you on Facebook and Instagram that you were coming on tonight. And of course, we got some fan questions for you. You ready to answer them?
Hopefully they're not some of my friends that are worse at being a stir pot or a pot stirs than me.
Actually, they're pretty tame tonight, surprisingly. With a guy like you, I thought they were gonna be a lot worse.
They probably know it's a podcast, so they probably like, oh, we got to be like politically correct.
And go listen to like Wally Wilson or something. Some of his ones. The first one up, we
I
got
think I
Cam
sent them in
Harris.
for Wally.
I think you did too. We got Cam Harris for the first one. He goes, "Who are your racing heroes?"
So Cam, I was talking to him at the track yesterday. So one of my biggest racing heroes is actually John Baker Jr. He is a guy that he's not huge financially. Like he's not like one of these big powerhouse teams. He builds everything himself. Like his whole modified he drives now is all hand built, other than I think the center section he got from Rudy Oprisma, which whole connection there, as you can see. So yeah, he's very knowledgeable, and if I could have the quarter of the knowledge he has, I'd be happy. Dan Price is another one of them. He's another hardworking guy. Gary Elliott, like I said earlier in the podcast, there's a lot of hardworking guys that maybe like there's few guys that I don't even remember their names of, but I looked up to them when I was a kid that I wish I could remember their names right now, but I'm on the spot, so I can't figure their names. But like, they're guys that show up week in, week out. Like, I don't really care about these like rich teams coming out and winning races. I want that underdog guy to have a good finish. Like that, like if that guy's been racing for 20 years, he's running the top 5 for the first time in his life. He's now one of my heroes. Like, he is finally getting through it. Like, he's doing well. It's like, and like, that's what I like in a racer. Like, they work their butt off. They do all their own work. Like, that's what I'm looking for. Is like, if I'm going to look up to somebody, like, everyone's like, who's your favorite NASCAR star? I'm like, I don't have one right now. I'm like, everyone in NASCAR, for lack of better words, didn't really have to work on their own cars to get there. Like, you had guys like, say, Logano or Bush that drove through legend cars and their dads would build it, stuff like that. But once they got into like late models and stuff, they were all being pampered, kind of thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
they're all being groomed essentially.
Yeah, they're being groomed to be the media star, and they're put in the best cars.
Yeah.
Me and you had this conversation at Peterborough of like, there are some drivers, I won't mention names like we did at Peterborough, that they could be thrown into one of my bone stocks, one of my mini stocks, or one of my cars before this year. They would park the car because it was that bad.
Yeah.
Where I like those guys that don't give up. So like, if all of a sudden you see a guy that's driving with no fender on and he's done it for like 6 weeks in a row, he's now one of my heroes too. Like, I watched a guy in a truck, I think 3 years ago at Peterborough. Like, he's not quite at hero status yet because he's also done some weird things to my dad's truck. He finished the race. I think all he had left was like the one nose cone and like the roof. Like,
Jesus.
That's like an attaboy moment. Like, I don't have like people are like, oh my god, I'm gonna go see Jimmy Johnson in Indy. Like, no, I'm a big fan of the hard workers, and that's who I look up to, and I try to be like.
All right. The next one we got Brad Laval, and he goes, how did you get the nickname 5 Wide?
So 5 Wide was a nickname that took off for like 3 months. I just never changed my Facebook status. Long story short is, we're at Autumn Colors and Charlie Toner's like, hey, you've been going 3 wide every heat race. Do we see 4 wide tonight? And me being the guy I am, I'm like, no, not 4 wide. We're going 5 wide. So I got 4 wide at Colors on the top, and then like, it's really hard to get 5 wide. I finally got it. I think my last year in bone stock, I went 5 wide to the center to make the pass on all 4 cars. And there's a picture of it somewhere. Like, I think I actually knocked one guy down to the grass to get it. But like, I'm like, here's my chance. Like, here's my chance at immortality. So it's like, I think the guy was eating. I think it was Chris Tuck I knocked down through, which Chris was probably had a poutine in his car anyway, so he wasn't mad at me.
Oh boy. Well, that's actually a pretty cool nickname though. And then our last one is again from Brad Laval. He goes, who do you like to race against and in what class?
So one of the guys, like, I have a list of people I want to race against. Oddly enough, there's only one guy on that list at this current moment that I want to race against. I haven't. So one of the biggest names I wanted to race against was Dan Price, because like I said, he's one of my heroes. He's hardworking. I actually got to race against him. I beat him only because I was dropping gear oil all the way down the track for like 3 laps. But either way, we came to the finish to the grass. That was like one of my best moments ever, because like, he's a guy that was actually teaching me how to work on these cars, and like, out of his own time and will, and like, he's helping me to help grow the sport. And like, it was a big moment for me. There's guys like, I got to race against J.R. Fitzpatrick when I raced Pro Light Model. I wouldn't say race against, but race with. You know what I mean? Like, I seen him as he flew by 20 mile an hour faster. Gary Elliott. I got to race with guys like Andy Camrath and stuff like that. Like even racing with like Ryan Babin and Tyler Junkin and stuff was big moments for me as I started moving up. But one of my favorite guys to race with is actually the only guy that I've actually driven a car for without them being hurt or anything like that. Was I messaged him on a phone, be like, hey, do you got anyone for the Young Gun shoot at Peterborough? It was the first year of it. Tommy Pod let me drive his car with no experience whatsoever and said, trust me, you'll do fine. I pull the pole chip. I'm like, hey, do you want me to back it? He goes, if you back out of it, you're out of my car. I'm like, all right, here we go. So I never drove a Thunder car. I got like 2 laps of practice because by the time I got in the car and figured out how to put the steering wheel on, because I didn't have a quick release to that point, this is how new I was to racing. But yeah, he's actually one of my favorite guys to run with. He's one of the cleanest guys I've ever raced against. And yeah, I'm hoping he comes back soon. And because I love racing against him. I bought the car originally, so we had the exact same car, so we could fight every week.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
So.
All right, well that wraps up our fan question period. As always, we'd like to thank everyone for submitting their questions. Make sure you guys tune in every Sunday. I don't know why I was about to say Friday, but every Sunday at around noon to see who our next week's guest is. Maybe I'll let it slip in the episode, and I have let it slip in the past of who's coming on next week. So stay tuned for next Sunday to see who's coming on.
Or we change the guest halfway through the week.
Nice try. No, that's on a me error because I didn't realize what episode we were at, and this particular person wants the next episode number. So
was this episode 68?
This is episode 68. So this particular driver wants the number 69.
Does he have to pay extra for it?
Wait, I'm supposed to get you guys to pay me for this?
Well, if they're requesting episode numbers, I think so. Like I've at least bought merchandise.
True that. No, he what did he do? He did I forget what he. Oh no, he gave me a book. He gave me a book. That's what it was. He gave me a book in Bad Byron's butt rub. So
what?
Called Bad Byron's butt rub.
Oh, all right. That's what I thought you said, but I was just double checking.
It's a rub for to smoke some good meat in. And I've already tried some on some pork chops, and it hits the spot.
Better than the brownies.
Close. I'm not gonna lie, close.
Imagine if those brownies had chocolate chips on them.
Oh, I'd have bought a few more. But no, we want to. What I was about to say, damn it! Now I really lost my train of thought. Oh no, okay. So I want to touch back a little bit here for a brief second because we're gonna get you out of here for the night soon. And but you were correct though. I want to get on the mic. I would love to call a race or two just to see where I can get my feet wet, because I think it would be a lot of fun to get up on the mic and spit what I have to say about some drivers and see and and just, not obviously like bad things, but just to call a race. I think it'd be just a lot of fun.
Well, I know Charlie, if you're there, I could probably get you in the booth with Charlie if he doesn't have a co-announcer for the night.
Yeah.
But if you do that and I'm racing, you have to do the Feeney call. There's no ifs, ands, or buts.
I tell him I'm calling Brandon Feeney when he comes out on the track.
So
I no ifs, ands, or buts. But is there anyone you want to thank for getting you here tonight?
So I got to thank all my sponsors on my car. Lick Molly, Auto Tire and Safeties, Platinum RV Sales, Corth ATV Association, Pioneer Plumbing, K1 Graphics. I also got to say special mention to the Crow family. They're dealing with the loss of Larry Crow Sr. that he passed away this passing week. Big icon at Peterborough Speedway. They're actually the ones that kind of helped me get into like the big cars as it is now. So I got to send my condolences out to them as well. So
yeah, that's that. It's never easy losing someone. So sorry, but yeah, it's of course, Jesus Christ, how the fuck do I continue from that? I'm sorry. Like, you keep throwing me for curveballs tonight, and I have to hate you for that. I'm sorry.
Well, it's one of those things. Like Larry Sr. was one of the biggest supporters of Peterborough Speedway. The Crow Star, them kind of, sort of, because his son was the one in the orange Lamborghini last week.
Yeah, and
then his other son was in the Range Rover, so they were just there. They've supported. You can see half of them with the Crow gas, with the Crow carts, stuff like that, supporting other racers and keeping divisions alive. So like I said, they actually basically sold me a car for less than the parts that was to like build it. Like I think I bought that first car for like $1,500 as a complete roller, other than a motor.
Oh wow.
And like I was fighting top 5 every week with it, and the
Yeah.
support was always there. And guys don't do that anymore, so it's like,
Oh, you're absolutely right. Well, with that being said, we're gonna get you out of here for the night. We're running a little bit later than we usually do, which is fine. But again, we're gonna bring you back on, probably near closer to the end of the year, and we're gonna just talk some more and have some more rants. Okay, bud?
all right, so episode 138 it is.
If we make it to that this year, then yes. But yeah, thanks again for jumping on with us, man. Stay and chat with us for a bit. It was just felt like a regular Saturday night at the racetrack for us, I think.
I think that's the way it's got to be. It's just a conversation. Otherwise, it feels fixed. Like,
Absolutely.
and thank God I didn't see a squirrel.
All right, man. Well, we'll let you get going out of here. All right. Have yourself a good night.
You too.
All right. Bye now.
Bye.
All right, guys. So that was the driver of the number 38, Liquid Molly. I think it's a Chevrolet from Superstock from Peterborough Speedway. That was Brandon Feeney. Of course, we want to thank Brandon for jumping on with us this week. And yeah, we're definitely gonna have to get him back in the studio, or not studio. We're not in a studio yet, but I want to be in a studio, and I do really want to get him back on and chat with him some more, because that was a lot of fun. And I feel like, you know, even if we started at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we still wouldn't be done. It was now there's videos I gotta go watch. Yeah, I think they're gonna be so interesting to watch. So yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of fun, probably either tonight or tomorrow or something, watching them while I'm editing this podcast and getting it ready for Tuesday. Because I'm not gonna take out a whole lot. There's a lot of stuff that was good there, and you know, it's a lot of fun. It's exactly what we're looking for.
Definitely.
You know, I had a lot of fun. We're trying to get out of here because currently we're sitting at 2 hours and 57 minutes on our call here. Ain't now trying to get this show through. As always, guys, if you guys are looking for True North Racing Podcast and JoMo Media Apparel, check us out on our links check out the links in our bio that leads you to the exact site that sells them, and they can be delivered straight to your door. I am working on in-house apparel for the 2023 season, depending on how things go. So stay tuned to that. That's for next year. So look for stuff in the off season. We may try to get in some cool designs and to go forward with that, because I think that would be a lot better. What else? Oh, we do have a JoMo Media Tumblr. I think it might be spoken for. I got to double check with them. But if you guys are looking for your own JoMo Media Tumblr / True North Racing Podcast Tumblr, let us know. We will get them made up and we'll send them directly to you. If not, meet us at the track and we'll give them to you. What else? Next week's episode, if you guys haven't already heard, we already talked about him in the past couple weeks. He will be coming on next Sunday. So stay tuned. If you guys can guess who it is, we may do a giveaway or something. I don't know yet, but probably not, but we'll see. And what else we got going on? Next weekend, I will be back at Flamborough Speed with this Young Drivers Canadian Modifieds. Megan, will you be hitting up a racetrack next week at all?
Yes.
Where are you going?
I'll be at Flamborough.
You're coming to Flamborough too?
Yes.
Perfect. There we go, guys. If you guys want to catch us at Flamborough Speedway, come on out, support the track, stop by, say hi. I will always have a camera usually around me. Feel free to jump in, stop me, say hi. Who knows, maybe I'll get you guys to shoot an opening for the Young Drivers Canadian Modified vlog. It is the nightly sponsor is One Day Painting. They are coming on as the nightly sponsor for the CVMs this week, so stay tuned for that. We do have a video coming up soon. So stay tuned to the Young Drivers Canadian Modified YouTube channel for that. Megan, you can catch Megan on all social medias, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. She is very, very popular out there. So make sure you guys are out there having fun and doing this, and follow her. I feel like we may have lost Megan.
I don't mind. It just paused and like.
Oh, it's
okay,
my
now you're
internet
frozen.
connection.
I was gonna say you just like froze on my end, like, and then
Oh,
I could hear
no.
you, but your picture is still frozen.
Oh no. Okay, so hopefully you guys all heard that, because I thought Megan was frozen, but apparently it was me. So hopefully this worked. If not, I'm gonna talk over it. Make sure you guys catch us on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Yeah. Other than that, we got some cool events happening soon, all around the province. So who knows where you'll catch Megan and myself at a track. Other than that, Megan, just take us home now.
Oh,
Oh, I put you on the spot again.
I'm not good at that. Okay. Thank you guys for listening to the True North Racing podcast. You can catch us on Anchor, Spotify, Google, and now YouTube. Is that all of them? Just the four?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So that's where you can catch the podcast, listen to it, watch it. I am Megan Mitchell, and my co-host is John Morrison. Thank you guys for listening.
See you guys next week. Bye now.
See yous.
Drop the flag, then the car zooming by. Hey, True North Racing, let's go.